Welcome back to another edition of Ball Don't Lie, right here on 104.9 The Horn. We got a lot to get into today. Lots of NFL news, notes, and nuggets. Cowboys and the Texans both completed their coaching staffs. We'll get into that. There's talk Bryce Young will not throw at the Combine. We'll talk about that and more. Bijan Robinson reportedly will perform at the NFL Combine. We'll talk about that coming up. The latest report from Adam Schefter is that the Bears are leaning toward trading the top overall pick. So we'll drop a lot of NFL news, notes, and nuggets on the show. We got NBA talk as well. The Mavs' disappointing loss to the Lakers, and I got a chance to watch that. It was unbelievable. Literally, it was unbelievable what happened with the Lakers. Ended up with a big win. They needed that one, and Damian Lillard, he puts it on the Houston Rockets, my Houston Rockets. We'll talk about that coming up. Next segment, Texas basketball. Speaking of disappointing, we'll get into that loss on the road to the Baylor Bears. Texas baseball winning their first home series, but losing that last game, and we got my man Hardball Harge back to discuss it. We'll talk about that and more. Before we do, let's introduce you to the rest of the crew. He was a second-round pick for the Montreal Expos, but a first-round pick for the Austin Radio Network. He originally committed to the University of Texas, but decided to forego the 40 acres and chase his dream and the cheese. Pimping ain't easy, but for him, it's a breeze. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Hardball Harge. What's going on, brother?
What's happening? It's a Monday. We are back to get back into it. And missed you guys on Friday, but I got a lot to tell y'all about my weekend over at the Dell Diamond. I'll get into that in just a little bit. But he hails from H-Town with the Get Down. He's a lifetime Longhorn and a proud card-carrying member of DBU. Legendary, lifetime, and Hall of Fame Longhorn Derek Johnson said he was the best cover corner he had ever seen. He's a former NFL DB that still has that passion for film study. But he's not a fan of white condiments. But he is a fan of you, the listeners. He is my man and yours, Rod Babers.
I appreciate the intro as always. That's not to waste any time introducing the real MVP, one of the hardest working members of the AN family. He's got a hustler spirit, period. We don't know what he's paid, but we pretty damn sure that he's underpaid. He is the Patrick Davis. What's going on, Patrick? How you doing, man?
Doing good.
All right. Before we get into the show today, I want to ask my man Harge how his weekend was out there at the Dell Diamond, and how fast were those ball games, man?
Those ball games were perfectly timed. I had a great time out there. You could actually get out of there and go do some things.
Yeah.
So it was really exciting. There was a ton of people as I was walking through the stands because this was my first time as the quote-unquote sideline / dugout reporter.
Yep.
So I was on the move a lot. Walked about 10 miles during the weekend. I mean, your boy was getting it, stairs and everything. A bunch of people came up and said hello. They listen to the show all the time. They said, make sure you tell Rod. We said, what's up, Patrick? We had a great time. And there's so many people that listen to the show. Shout out to Mike the umpire. He rolled up on me as I was walking into the building. He said, man, I listen to y'all all the time. He's an umpire, so he listens to our conversations about umpires and the time. He said he had a great time at the Round Rock High School tournament. But to your point about the timer, I talked to every single coach that was involved this weekend. Yeah. There's a variance of ideas and thoughts that go into it. But the reality of it all is what ends up happening, you don't have that time to separate yourself, right? Yeah. So most of the time you watch some of these games, people were walking around, fixing their gloves.
Very leisurely.
It was
very leisurely.
We have no time limit.
There's no urgency.
Right.
Yes.
There's no rush to get on the mound and dallying with the, not the pine tar, but the rosin bag. So they were over there. There was so much that was taken away from that it made the game fun and it kept everybody engaged. You didn't have all that nonsense that was happening. Now, there was some situations, as it was in Globe Life, and you saw it throughout baseball this weekend.
Yeah.
There were some situations where guys were getting called for balls and guys were getting called for strikes.
Oh, yeah.
One of the games ended with a guy not getting in the batter's box. They called strike 3 on him. The game was over. Time to move around.
Those the rules.
I was already in my car. I was already towards the car. So it was fine for me. But all in all, I thought the weekend went outstanding as far as the games are concerned and the way everybody went about their business. So it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to watching some of the baseball games too, just to kind of see how the teams adapt to the new rules and the pitch clock. The Astros, and go Astros, by the way, and the obviously we're talking about spring training games here. The Nationals beat them 3-2, 2 hours and 6 minutes.
Yeah. 2 hours and 6 minutes,
2
and you got
hours
your
and
whole day
6
now.
minutes.
You got your whole day.
Ooh, hey man, that's to me that's a game changer.
The game that just ended right here that we're watching in studio, it was 2 hours, 59 minutes, NFL Live, right on time when they were supposed to start, 3 o'clock.
Man,
They were right there where they were supposed to be.
How many runs in that game?
I think it was, 8?
I think it was like 15 runs in that game.
Yes.
It was 9-6, right?
9-6, because that's right.
So
They just
15
got a
runs,
two-run
it's still
home
in 3
run.
hours.
scoring up.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying, though, is
yeah.
when you're saying a 15-run game, you're like, that's like a 4.5-hour game.
This weekend we
Shorter
had one.
game.
Because
Games.
pitch changes, and pitchers freaking out. It's a long game.
Yeah.
It happened this weekend. There was a game where a bunch of runs was being scored. The game was over in 3 hours and 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was
crazy.
like, we were all sitting around talking, and we're like, that game had so much that happened
So
in
much
it, and
action.
we're still out of there.
Yeah.
We're
so
still
much
out
action.
of there at a decent time. Remember, I told y'all before, I did a game in Frisco, and I'll be in Frisco this weekend. I did a game in Frisco where it was 5 hours and 57 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
5 hours and 57 minutes.
That's insane.
No errors.
That's insane.
It was ridiculous.
That's
And it was
ridiculous.
freezing.
That's crazy. Come on now.
I'm like, holy
I
cow,
was-
what
I
am
don't
I
know.
doing?
Like I said, I'm not a baseball traditionalist, but I don't know how you cannot, at least be intrigued by the new rules because I think the purpose of all the new rules, whether you agree or disagree, to increase scoring
Yes.
and to shorten the games.
And to shorten the game.
It's exactly what's going on. At least
Can be throwing over 15 times.
Yeah, very short sample size. But you're right, it could be mistakes. That's
Right.
a lot of it too. So according to Lindsay Adler, she said 11 out of the 16-day spring training games heading into Sunday's play ended in around 2.5 hours.
Yeah. And remember, so when you're dealing with
Yeah, man.
spring training games, you're getting rookies and guys that'll be going to AA and AAA, some single A ball players that are coming down there and being able to pitch in these games, and they're still trying to figure out, they're nervous, they're going through all this stuff, but it don't matter. It don't matter. They're right back on the mound, and you're getting up there, and you're not thinking. You're just going out there to play, and that's the beautiful part about it as well.
Yeah, no, I think it's gonna be fascinating, and I've always said this. The games, the length of them actually isn't the biggest issue. I know people say it is, but it's not. The NFL and college football games are really long too.
Right.
They just have more action.
They just have more action.
They're just more intriguing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just a more entertaining product. Baseball makes the product more entertaining. I think it'll appeal to the younger generations, which is what I think they want to do.
Well, here's the
Appeal
other
to the
thing,
younger
too.
demos.
There was a question, are these with TV commercials as well? Yes, because here's what happened with us. We have 1 minute in between the breaks. So when we end the inning or end the half an inning, we'll be like, we'll be right back to go into the bottom of the first. That commercial break during that time is 1 minute. That's it.
Okay.
You're not getting all the extra stuff. And, there's a lot of times you get the split box because in reality, they get 2 minutes and 30 seconds in between innings. So when you walk out there, you're right back on the mound, you get your pitches, you're back on the bump, you're ready to go. 2 minutes, 30 seconds. That's it. So the games have been crisp.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll say that game we were just talking about on ESPN, it's on ESPN.
Yeah.
So there were commercials in it. The one that lasted just under 3 hours for a
Yeah.
15-run game was on ESPN. So there were commercial breaks.
Yeah.
I like the new rules. I've supported them. I know all the traditionalists don't like them, but I think it's going to be really good for the game. And you'll get used to it.
You'll get used to it,
You'll
just
get
like
used
anything
to
else.
it. Yeah.
Because there's there's so many scenarios that play out in baseball, but by the time you get to game 30 or even 20, if you get to game 20 and if you don't have it figured out by then, y'all are just being lazy.
Yeah, y'all, exactly.
You're
I
not
totally agree.
preparing yourself.
You're professionals.
Exactly.
You're the best in the world at what you do.
right.
Come on, man.
Come on.
Adapt.
Adapt. Exactly.
I mean, come on.
They told you couldn't take steroids, you adapted.
Yeah, you guys, you'll figure it out.
They're
man.
taking
Yeah.
the shift away from you. you should be able to adapt.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be really good for the game. All right, we'll get into some more baseball coming up a little bit later on. So we're talking Texas baseball. Glad we got my man Hardball Harge here to break some of that down for us as well. We'll talk Texas basketball, of course. Disappointing loss on the road to the Baylor Bears, but they still can keep their Big 12 championship hopes alive if they just take care of business. We'll talk about that coming up as well. But you can be a part of the show. You're the most important part of it. Specs text line is the best way to do it. 512-337-3776. I want to start off talking about the Cowboys a little bit and some of the NFL stories that came out because there's a Lamar Jackson story. Stephen A. Smith is even jumping on the Lamar Jackson breaking news stories these days with his connections. So we'll get into that coming up. But the Cowboys did complete their coaching staff. So it is a done deal. Their coaching staff has been complete. And also the Texans. I'll throw that out there, too. So we'll get into the Texans, too. Don't want to ignore them. But the Cowboys, Harge, and you're a Cowboys fan, so I'm not sure if you've gotten a chance to look at the finalized coaching staff for the Cowboys.
I did.
We've been giving the updates, weekly, daily, as the promotions and the acquisitions and additions have been made. So I'm not going to go through all of them. That'd be boring. But what are your thoughts about the overall coaching staff now that it's completed for the Cowboys?
It's interesting to me with the Scott Tolson as the quarterback's coach and what he's going to bring to Dak. I did say that he needed a different voice. He needed a different point of view. He needed somebody that could come in and not agree with him all the time, right? Not saying that I know that Kellen Moore and Dak agreed with each other as much as we thought, but I would like to look at the fact that this might work for them. Let's see what happens and give it a chance. But then I look at Sharif Floyd. Am I not mistaken to think that was somebody that the Cowboys were supposed to draft that one year, and he ended up going to Minnesota? Because I think he was somebody that was on the draft boards as a high pick.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, he went somewhere else.
I heard Chad talking about this because he's a Cowboys fan. He brought it up too.
Okay, because I was like, so you go out and get him to be your coach, but you skipped over him in the draft? It's amazing to me. So, yeah, that was somebody that I found that interesting because I don't think the defensive line was the problem. I don't think that was something that was an issue where you had to not bring back a certain guy on that defensive line as the coach. But I guess Mike McCarthy said, if I'm going to go down, I'm going down with the people that I want to bring in and continue to go that way, or I'm going to resurrect this team and we're going to be playing for an NFC championship game. So, I mean, either way, he's got to make this work. He's definitely got to make this work.
No, I totally agree with you. It's one of my only, I don't know if it's a complaint. It's more of a critique than a complaint.
Yep.
I know it's rather, it's something that a lot of teams do that is rather frequently done. Teams promote from within. You see it all the time.
Yep.
I would argue the Cowboys abuse that methodology a little bit too much. That for the Cowboys, they become comfort hires rather than
very much so.
Just promotions from within, which happens all over the NFL. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I think the Cowboys do it a lot. I went back and looked at their last 3 offensive coordinators have basically been in-house promotions.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with it, but it's nice to get an outside voice, nice to get fresh perspective, new ideas. And if the Cowboys were a franchise that was winning championships, going to the Super Bowl every year, I'd go, you're damn right you should be promoting from within all the time.
Right.
But they're not.
Right.
So
very much.
Why not go get ideas from teams that are having a little bit more success than you are, and then go try to steal some of those concepts and some of those methods that are a little bit more successful or that have been proven to be more successful than your own. So I'm not saying that I'm against promoting from within. You see teams do it all the time. But the teams that do it, in my opinion, a lot, they have been doing it lately, like San Fran's doing it a lot lately. The Rams are doing it a lot lately. That's because their coaches are being poached so much because of success that teams are trying to copycat. So with the Cowboys, their last 4 quarterback coaches have basically all been either promotions from within or former players who were on the roster. The Kellen Moore, Doug Nussmeier, Wade Wilson, John Kitna.
Right.
They're all guys who are already indoctrinated in programmed with a cowboy way of doing things.
Exactly.
right?
You like listening to Jura.
Yeah, the last 3 OCs, same thing, right? Scott Linehan, you're Kellen Moore, Brian Schottenheimer, same thing. You got to go back to Bill Callahan.
But didn't
before
we
they
get
brought in-
Linehan from Detroit? Didn't we originally
Yeah, but I
get him
believe
from-
he was the pass game coordinator before you had. So like I said, nothing wrong with
Right.
that. It does make sense, but I think it happens for the Cowboys a little too much. I think they should. One of the things they should try to implement is to bring in more fresh ideas and people with fresh ideas. And I don't think they do that enough. They did bring in Solari, the offensive line coach. I do
Yep.
like that. But yeah, so that's like Jeff Blasco. He was in-house
Yep.
promotion.
Schottenheimer, in-house promotion.
Schottenheimer in-house promotion.
Yeah.
You look, Scott Tozen basically was too, because he was an offensive assistant with them.
Yep.
So my big complaint would be, so when you do these interviews with all these other, qualified coaches from college and from all over the NFL, you're doing a thorough search, an expansive, search, all your due diligence. You told me most of the time you decide my guy's better.
Right.
What?
Right. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's happening a little too much.
Well, I love what you said before, though. This goes all the way back to the fact of, hey, you need to bring guys in from somewhere else, at least interview them, at least have the conversations. What were you guys doing to have so much success? How did you get to this level with certain things in your coaching style? Like, bring other out, like you said, the people that have been winning. Why not interview those people and bring those, get that mindset? Why wouldn't you get an offensive-minded guy to come in? Even though you are offensive, but you've been known to kind of be, You had Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback when you were the offensive mind. You were calling all the plays. You got Dak now. You got Dak. It's a totally different arm strength. But maybe, just maybe, you can actually call plays that Dak can understand. Aaron Rodgers will probably check out of all your plays and do his own thing. And maybe that's why they had so much friction where he called him lazy at one point. But I still sit there and I'm like, this is interesting to me when you look at the Cowboys and the fact that they did not bring anybody from an outside person where you can get those ideas. You want somebody, go interview somebody with Sean McVay. Why not interview that person?
I don't know the list, so I will admit that I don't know the list of candidates. Like I said, just studying the Cowboys' way of doing things, they love comfort hires.
Right.
Like I said, I'm not judging them. I'm more of a critique than a complaint.
Yeah.
Because they have done a decent job, but I would love them to go steal, really good coaches from more successful organizations than themselves. I'm not saying they're not successful, but organizations that have had more success than the Cowboys.
Right.
That's all.
Yeah.
Okay, the Texans, just really quickly before we get into some of these other NFL news, notes, and nuggets, they completed their coaching staff as well. My big complaint, guys, like I said, I won't go through all the hires because we went through most of these when they were hired at the time. Not one coach with head coaching experience on the whole damn coaching staff. That was one of my top three things I wanted. I said, man, just get one guy.
Yeah.
All right, one person on the staff with head coaching experience at the NFL level.
You did say
Hell, I
that.
would have taken one at the college level. Do they have one of that? Like, I don't think they have anybody who's
I
had
need some help.
head coaching experience at the college or the pro level. So I don't mind the staff, but it is a really, really inexperienced staff.
Yeah, like
overall.
this seems like every single person on the staff, this is the highest position they've ever had in football.
That's a great point, Patrick. I totally agree with you.
And that's
I
a weird
pretty agree-
thing for
I
a
agree with
football
that.
program.
So
in the
you're not
NFL.
back
That's a
yet?
great point.
Not back yet.
You're not
I mean,
back
like,
yet. No, he's
it
right.
could work, but it seems like
He's
every
right.
single person got a promotion to be on the Texans staff.
Right.
Which is not the normal way of business. Normally you find at least one or two guys that are like, hey, man, I've done this in the past, but, those days, maybe I want a little less work and a little older. I'd be curious, the average age of this coaching staff is probably got to be one of the youngest in the league.
But here's the thing.
Because
Yes.
I think most of these guys are under 50,
And a
which
lot
is
of it's
pretty
their
young.
first time, like you said, it's their first time being at this height in the coaching
several
game.
of them came from college recently.
Yep.
So, yeah, like Ben McDaniels.
Jared
comes up-
Johnson.
Jared Johnson. Ben
Johnson,
McDaniels came from Michigan. He's Josh McDaniels' brother,
Yeah,
who was the head coach.
But that was
It's about
about
as close
to
as we're
say that.
getting.
That's
No.
what I was just about to say. It's
He's
like,
been around a while, too, actually.
thank you. That's
Yeah.
what I was just
He's
about
been
to say.
around
These
a
are some of those
while.
guys that have been waiting for that break. They got their break, and maybe these are some of those wonder kids.
It could be.
Those
Yeah.
are these guys that are so intelligent that the analytics guys that have been studying the numbers, looking at certain things, watching technique, breaking down film for a very long time, that are like, all right, when I get my opportunity, this is what we're going to do. This is how this is going to be. Look, I'm 1,000% in agreement with you, Rod. There should have been a head coach somewhere
Just one.
on there.
Whatever,
On
yeah.
that staff. Or better yet, go bring somebody in to be a consultant to oversee everybody. Do that.
Yeah, make a position.
Make a
the
position.
NFL.
Yeah,
That
you can always
position.
do
It's
that.
the NFL, yeah.
Yeah, you can always make. I'm just saying, like,
Go
you
get
can,
Jim Caldwell.
Well, you can now. He's hired
I
already.
know he just got hired,
Yeah,
but those
Frank
are the
Reich
type
already
of
hired him.
people.
Yeah.
Those are the type of people you go and get because he's going to definitely be there to watch you succeed. He wants you to succeed.
Yeah, like a guy like Mike Zimmer who's helping Dion
Right.
is a guy that you're like, you're taking a way less pay cut to work with Dion. Come back to the NFL, like a guy like that. Just
Right.
But there's other guys like that.
Just
Correct.
Go through the list of coaches who've been fired in the last 3-4 years in the NFL.
Just
And
don't go get John Gruden.
Joe's good. Don't get John Gruden. No, don't do that. Yeah, no, you might get
Or
yourself
Nathaniel
canceled.
Hackett.
Huh?
Or the Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah, but he got picked
he
up.
got hired already.
Yeah,
he
got
did.
The
picked up.
Jets, right? The Jets
Yeah,
picked him
Jets,
up.
yeah.
Go get Gary Kubiak. What's
Yes.
Gary Kubiak doing?
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing.
He's obviously got a lot of guys from the Shanahan/Kubiak tree.
Yep.
Go call Gary Kubiak. Say, bro, well, we'll pay you. I don't
You're
know,
a-
$250,000. You'll be the special assistant to the head
You're
coach.
a former Texans guy anyway.
Boom. Come on. That's money.
Yeah. No, I think that they could have.
Just
run
win.
But I guess this is the positive outlook on it is you're not trying to win a Super Bowl this year anyway. So you're saying, look, we're building up, and you're more worried about player progression this year and getting guys in and getting them in the right flow of winning. So this can be an extended tryout for a lot of these guys who may be really good coaches. And then after this season, if you find some and the shoes are too big for them, you can go out and try and get another hire after the season.
Yep.
Yeah, the D-line coach. Here is the D-line coach, who is Jacques Cesar. I'm sure I screwed his name up. I did not mean to do that. He's been a position coach. This is his first year as a position coach. He's been like assistant D-line coach since 2020. DB coach. He has been in the NFL since 2013, but the first time as a DB coach was 2020. Safety coach, first year as a position coach. Corey Unlin, the pass game coordinator on defense. He's been in the NFL forever. Since 2004. He's just a lifer pretty much. Matt Burke, the defensive coordinator since 2004. So that's basically, they got a lot of young coaches as position coaches, but your two coordinators, your pass game coordinators and your defensive coordinators are veterans in the league. Both of them have been coordinators and play calls before. Your wide receivers and pass game coordinators, Ben McDaniels, you talked about, Harge. He's actually been around the league since 2010. Right. He just has never really ascended to be a coordinator or to be a play caller or anything more than that. But he's going to be the wide receivers coach and the pass game coordinator. Quarterback coach, first year for him, Jared Johnson, but he's been around at different teams as an assistant. Bobby Slowick's going to be his first year as a play caller and offensive coordinator. The running back position coach is going to be his. He's been in there since 2016. He's been around for a long time in the NFL. Yeah. But the offensive line coach, 2018 was the first time he became a position coach. And Shane Day, the senior offensive assistant, he's been around a long time. Him and Bill Lazar, they've been around the league since 2010 and 2006. So they're depending on those two or three guys they have on both sides of the ball that are really experienced to really be able to help out these young coaches.
Yeah.
But Patrick's right. This is the highest that most of these coaches have achieved in the coaching profession thus far.
Yeah, and there's some weird, like Monty Kiffin's kid is the linebackers coach. Oddly enough, the O-line coach is related to Greg Popovich.
Is he really?
Yeah,
I saw the
that's
name
what I saw.
Popovich. I
There
didn't
was
know
a
that.
story about it that it was like he went to a funeral and he was just like he was disconnected from one side of his family, but apparently Greg Popovich was on that side of the family. So he met him at the funeral. Was like, wait, we're actually related?
Cole
Right.
Popovich.
Cole
is his
Popovich,
name.
yeah. So
Wow.
they do have relations to other coaches. So I'm sure a lot of these people know a lot of those things, but you don't really know them until you do them, and that's where the experience that you kind of wanted was not so much by osmosis. You wanted it by
Right.
actual experience.
I know a lot of professions and businesses are built on nepotism, but the NFL
Oh,
is
it's
ridiculous.
it might be among the most egregious.
Yeah.
in nepotism. Every coaching staff is just littered with, oh, this guy's related to that
I know
guy.
that
Yeah.
name. I know that name.
Yeah,
I know that name.
it really is. Hollywood's like that too, by the way. Don't get
Yeah,
it twisted. Hollywood's big. And they changed their names though. They're smart.
That's
The Hollywood
exactly
people,
right.
the nepotism in Hollywood is probably way worse than any other industry, but they changed their names.
Yeah.
So they don't have to,
Yeah.
you won't know they're related to the
You,
rest
you
of
don't know they're a nepo baby.
Yeah, exactly. They don't know. Hey, nothing wrong with that, by the way. I'm trying to get LeBron James trying to get his kid drafted in the first round of the NBA just so
he can
teams
play with
will
him.
have a chance
Exactly.
to get LeBron. They're going to basically change the landscape of free agency.
Yeah.
Teams are going to draft Lil Bronny in the top 10 or 15 in the lottery potentially so that they
Exactly.
know, well, we'll get LeBron for the last 3-4 years of his
Yeah.
career.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I do love all the
Nepotism.
early projections are like Orlando, and you're like, that is definitely a thing Orlando would do. 1,000% a thing Orlando would do.
But you know what? I'm not hating because he's basically hinted at it. He can't say it because essentially, he had to be tampering and not violating, I'm sure, a ton of other CBA rules. But he knows that, and bylaws, but he knows that if he throws it out there enough, Patrick's right. Well, at least one team will go, man, we'll do it. We'll give a damn. Because first-round draft picks in the NBA, unless they're in the lottery, are pretty much devalued. But I think one dumb lottery team might do it too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they're gonna make a run at it.
Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, you know
And
what?
LeBron will take a pay cut just to go where Bronny is.
You know he would.
Yeah.
You know he would.
Because that's his goal. That's his ultimate goal. Play that one season, be done. Because I saw an interview where he was like, I want to be like the Ken Griffey Jr. fam. I want to be like the Griffeys. That's exactly what I want to do.
No, he's talked about it a ton, and I hinted at it. I say maybe not talk about hinted at it. I should say.
Yeah.
ATX Jax fan says Nicolas Cage is related to Francis Ford Coppola. Is
Yep.
that real?
That's very
Wow.
real. Yeah.
I mean, you never know this kind of stuff.
Jennifer Aniston's dad is the guy from I want to say it was not Victor, but Kyriakis. He played on Days of Our Lives.
Oh, really?
Yeah, her dad was on Days of Our Lives.
Hey, you know what?
Yeah.
I ain't mad at him. All right,
Exactly.
I'm not hook my kid up too if I ever did anything worthwhile.
The
But
babies.
sorry, kid, you got to make it on your own. Papa didn't really do much, so you're gonna have to do it the hard way. All right, we
love
come
it.
back. We'll get into the Mavs. Oh man, they lost the hard way to the Lakers. We'll talk NBA and Damian Lillard putting up 71 on the Rockets. All that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie 104.9 The Horn. Monday edition of Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Where they win,
Yeah,
and Austin
Austin
FC
FC
loses
loses.
after going to the Western Conference Finals last year in a remarkable season. But it's still really early. But we'll talk about that as well coming up a little bit later on in the show. Let's talk about the NBA, gentlemen, because man, we had some remarkable performances. Unfortunately, they were at the expense of a couple of Texas teams.
Yeah.
And the Dallas Mavs. Let's start with the Mavs, and then we'll get into Damian Lillard's extraordinary performance versus my Houston Rockets. The Mavs have, they've shown it to be exactly who we thought they were going to be when they acquired Kyrie Irving. I think all of us agree they're going to have a spectacular offense, but they're going to have defensive struggles. And that's exactly what's going on with the Mavs. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
I got some numbers that I want to share with you guys later on. But getting to the game, it was a 111-108 win for the Lakers over the Mavs. The Mavs at one point were up 27 points in this game. I'm sure by now you've already heard the stat that teams were 138-0 in games where they were up by at least 27 points. And the Mavs, first team this season to lose, being in that situation. It was crazy the way it all happened too, because I remember I was watching it and I remember getting ready to fast forward through, and I was like, oh man, this thing is just not going to work out. I can't believe the Lakers are going to bomb this bad. But because by the time the Mavs, I think, were up by 20 points, they led by 20, and the Lakers were shooting around 22% from the field. I mean, they were over from 3-point range. I mean, it was an abysmal performance. But then right before the half, they started to show some signs of life. They were only trailing by 14 at the half after being down by as much as 27. And I was like, man, let me just check out the beginning of the third quarter to see if they come out with some life or if the Mavs decide to put them away. Man, they outscored the Mavs by 11 in the third quarter, turned it into a game, and it was Anthony Davis. Because the Mavs don't, and I'll let you go on your power rant here in a second because I know it's coming. Because the Mavs don't have any type of big man and they don't have any type of presence in the interior defensively, man, 30 points, 15 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks, and it was really him. And you go look at him and Jared Vanderbilt, and those guys just mashed on the Mavs inside all day. They had 60. I believe they had 62 points in the paint.
Goes to my point.
62.
And my man Legalize It says it perfectly. Can you tell me the value of Dwight Powell? And again, y'all think that I just pick on him, but it's to your point. But it's to your point.
It's justified, but you pick on him.
I'm looking at why is it that you think that you need to go and get a Robin to Luka's Batman? You didn't need that. You needed somebody that's in the middle that will stop him, stop anybody from getting in the paint. That is going to be the downfall for them. That's why I don't believe that they will win anything. I don't think, regardless of how he and Kyrie play, Luka and Kyrie play, the fact that they don't have a person in the middle is going to be the downfall. Now, this person doesn't have to be a high scorer. This person has to go in there and block shots and hit open shots. That's it, and get the rebounds. That's why I think it was a bad news for them not to go after Jakob Poeltl.
Yeah.
I thought that was the dumbest thing that they could do without going out there and getting that guy, because at least he will knock down people that try to go to the bucket. He will be a little bit more physical than anybody else that they've had. And go back, when they won the title, they had Tyson Chandler in the middle. And when they let him go, that was a problem. When they decided that he was not going to be coming back, that's when that entire team and that franchise went downhill. That's why they won't ever win a championship again until they get somebody in the middle. Yes, it's fun to watch Kyrie and Luka go down the court, shoot it, and do all this crazy stuff that we expect them to do, but you still need somebody in there that can help you protect the rim. And you said it, 62 points in the paint?
62.
62 points in the paint.
62.
That's embarrassing at an NBA game that you let a team get that many points in the paint.
But that's not the worst part. The Lakers scored 62 points in the paint. The Spurs scored 66.
Yeah.
The Spurs.
No, I get that.
No. I'm just saying, like, it doesn't matter who you are.
Right.
You're
Yeah.
going to be able to eat in the paint against the Mavs.
No, and this is, for me right now, this is what the roster is constructed like. I don't think there's anyone on the buyout market that's really there. And I can say it till I'm blue in the face. They're waiting for Maxi Kleber to get back.
They are.
But this is the problem. I'm tired of saying it. And if you're Jason Kidd and that's your retort is, well, I'm just waiting for this guy who I'm going to put unrealistic expectations on, it's Jason Kidd's fault.
Yes.
Because
Yes, it
he's the
is.
one who is not trying to anything different. He's the one who's sitting on the bench going, well, they trade away the guys I like, and so they gave me this other guy, and I don't want to deal with it. So I'm just going to kind of write out my contract now. And if they just want to play basketball, let them go play basketball.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna try and make switches. I'm not even gonna play JaVale McGee. Did not even see the court in that
Which
game.
is ridiculous.
And I
too.
get JaVale McGee offensively as a liability. You aren't having problems offensively, though.
Exactly.
So I'm tired of, hey, man, we have to, I don't care if Luka keeps coming off the bench going, he's blocking me up in the paint. Go, sorry, Luka. Until you want to play defense and
Thank
protect
you.
the rim, I have to have somebody play defense. Somebody has to do it. And like, Kyrie can play a little bit, but he can't protect the rim.
No.
And so I get you're waiting for Maxi Kleber. I get it. But that is not going to fix any of these problems. And then you throw in the fact that this team apparently has not even talked about what they're supposed to do in the fourth quarter because you thought, hey, man, before the All-Star break, I get it. Kyrie just got here. It's going to take a little bit of time. But eventually you'll figure out, hey, man, we have two superstars who are super clutch. Maybe we should pass the ball in the fourth quarter. And they don't. They both want to play hero ball. And Kyrie, knowing that he's a new guy, will give it to Luka. And Luka's mindset is just play hero ball.
Yep.
The problem is he hasn't taken a break in over a year. So his legs aren't
Another
there in the
problem.
fourth quarter in these tight games. And so his percentages go down, and now he can't be a hero anymore. And so all this is set up in a way that you need somebody, i.e. a coach, to tell you this is not the way it works. We'll go this way. And I'm sure Jason Kidd has been told, do whatever that Luka wants because we can't lose him in free agency.
Mm-hmm.
You know what Luka wants? To win. And so if you have to give him some tough love to win games, then that's fine. And look, they'll fire me anyway. I'll get paid if they fire me, but I might as well try to win. Like, I just don't get when coaches really check out like it looks like Jason Kidd's checked out at this point. Because I still, that press conference we played on the show, or when he talked about it and goes, we're not here to play defense. We're here to do this.
It's crazy.
And the phrase that killed me the most in that, because I've listened to it multiple times,
Yeah.
is, paying the post is just about effort, and we just need to get the effort. I'm like, no, it's not.
No.
Because I'll
It
tell
is
you what,
not.
I can put all the effort in the world into guarding someone 6'9", and they're going to dunk on me every play because I can't guard them. I'm physically not able to do it.
Right.
So you have to put guys that are out there, teach them. You have to scheme up different ways to bring guys over and try and get help into the post to not allow this. And I just don't think he's done any of that.
Also, in that same clip that you're referring to, Patrick, he essentially says we're not going to win playing defense anymore. He has
Yeah.
said we're going to win playing offense, which, like I said, we all thought it was being sarcastic or joking. I'm still not sure if he was being sarcastic or joking.
I don't
serious.
think so anymore.
I know exactly. Now I think he was being serious.
I think he was told this by the ownership.
that this is the way you're going to win.
I think he was
Yeah.
told this when they made the trade for Kyrie.
And he probably told him you can't win that way, and that's probably why he has the attitude of, all
Yes.
right, I'm going to try to win this way, but I tried to tell him.
Yeah.
You don't have to play. You got to play some defense. But it is. So I'll give you this stat before we move on and talk about Damian Lillard. So the Lakers scored 62 points in the paint. Spurs scored 66. The Nuggets before the All-Star break scored 64. So did Minnesota. That was on February 13th. In overtime, the Kings scored 74 points in the paint against the Mavs.
74
The
points.
Memphis Grizzlies lead the NBA in points in the paint with 59, and the Spurs allow the most points in the paint because they are tanking and doing a marvelous job of it, by the way. Are you 16 in a row now, Patrick? Is that it?
16,
16,
maybe
yeah.
17. Who
Yeah,
knows? 25, let's go.
Who cares? Who's keeping track of it?
I know. I want to win a game. Look, you need to win every once in a while. You can't just always lose.
Yeah, but hey.
because it's bad for progress of players if you do that.
That's a good point. But yeah, the Spurs are leading the NBA in points in the paint allowed. The most points in the paint allowed per game at 56. So essentially, every time you play the Mavs, you're the best.
You're the best version of yourself.
You're basically the best interior off. You're basically the best team offensively in the paint in the NBA. when you play them. That's how bad. And it ain't because you're awesome. It's because they're so bad.
Yeah, no, I know. It's fun to run layup lines in a game.
Wow.
But that's basically what's happening.
LeBron kept doing the same move. It was just the up and under. He just kept going up right there.
Well, and this was blowing my mind the most.
In the post.
All their big guys, 3 fouls. JaVale McGee didn't get. I'm like, just hit him. I mean, I get this is 2023 and we don't play that way anymore in the NBA.
Hey.
Just hit them. Like, I'm not saying flagrant foul. I'm saying when he goes up to the paint, put your entire body up and run into him.
Right.
Because it's just a foul. Like, you're not trying to hurt him. He'll be able to land fine, but he'll also know, man, it's all right. They're just going to foul me every time I go in the paint. JaVale McGee should have fouled out. If you're not going to play him, put him in the game and have him foul somebody every time and get him. And he comes out. Every team used to have those guys.
That's
you were
the thing
just
that
like-
makes me angry, man, is that they don't even give that an opportunity. Like JaVale McGee, I know he's always on Shaqtin' a fool, and just because he's just crazy, but at least he'll go out there and give you some sort of effort. He'll dunk on somebody and don't even look like he's dunking. He just throws it in. That's how long he is. So give him the opportunity to go out there and give you 6 fouls.
Yeah. No, Jared Vanderbilt was amazing.
Yeah.
He had 8 offensive rebounds in that game. He and AD combined for 45 points, 32 rebounds, 5 steals, and 3 blocks.
Wow.
Just dominating. Opposing teams in the last 5 games shooting less than 30% from three-point range against the Mavs because they don't have to shoot from outside against the Mavs. That'd be stupid. That's working, harder, not smarter.
Facts.
All right, let's talk about the Rockets. Speaking of harder and not smarter, the Rockets let Damian Lillard hit 71 points. 71 points. Sorry, 71 points. Is 71 or 72?
71,
I believe.
71. It was 71.
I don't know why I'm trying to give him an extra point for some reason.
Hey, because he just shot another shot and he made it. He got fouled and he made it.
71 points, and he has 71, 13 threes, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. He did turn it over twice, but he shot damn near 58% from the field and 59% from three-point range. That dude is a machine. And if you look at players who've scored more than 60 or at least 60-plus points, Damian Lillard, only Wilt with 32, Kobe with 6 have more 60-plus point games.
Yeah. He's been on fire too, man. He's been one of the best players in the NBA at this point. And there was a stat that I saw earlier today, I'm about to pull it up, that it just kind of blew my mind because we were talking about him winning the three-point shooter, and he said, I want people to look at me differently. That's why I'm entering this three-point shooting contest. But over his last 12 games, and I'll start with the 60 points, 30 points, 42, 42, 29, 40, 28, 33, 38, 40, 39, and 71. And he had 1 triple-double in his last 12 games where he was scoring that many points.
He needs to get out of there.
But he doesn't want to leave.
I know. He needs to get out of there. That team was never going to do anything for him.
And he's like, that's cool. I love it here. My family's growing up here. He doesn't want to go anywhere because he's got that city on lock.
He does. But he's going to be
nobody
lucky.
watches him play. Think about that.
No.
I get it because
You
he
never
plays
get to
in
see him.
boring games. Like he played 39 minutes in a game against the worst team in the league. Like you don't need to play 39 minutes. If you want to win games, this isn't the way you win games.
Yeah.
I get it. It's fun. You're doing good.
And
but
Chauncey
if you want
Billups is
people
his
to view,
coach, right? Chauncey's still his coach,
yeah.
right?
If you want people to view you in a different way, then you need to win because that's the basic fault of Damian Lillard is that he's not a winner. He's a good player, but there's a lot of good point guards. So you're like, hey man, you're like the 4th or 5th best point guard in the league, and you can score a lot, but you don't play really a lot of defense, and you're just like you stayed on one team that doesn't want to help you. I get it, but he'll be one of the better players in NBA history. He's a top 75 all time. I can agree with that, but he can't change the legacy unless you leave, because Portland itself, they just trade away more guys.
Yeah.
Like they just said again, like, we're not going to try and compete this year. So if you just want to sit in the middle and be that guy, that's fine. But
It's tough.
It's rare that you see the A-list actor in a bad movie, like a terrible movie with a terrible script, terrible plot, because usually they don't even take those. I mean, they could bomb every now and then, but I mean, this is basically one of those A-list actors in a bomb movie.
yeah. I mean, Clyde Drexler had to get out of there to go win.
It is.
And if Clyde Drexler finishes his career in Portland, is Clyde Drexler? As good as he was, is Clyde the Clyde Drexler the man that he thought of as he is if he doesn't win those 2 rings in
you have
Houston?
To. Your legacy in the NBA is determined by championships.
Yeah, and no one goes, oh well, because there's a difference of when you leave the team too and all this stuff. He's 32 years old. He has paid his dues there. He has done everything he can for Portland, and the fact that this franchise will not go full in and try and I mean, I get it, but at least do like the Mavs. And pretend that you're trying to go all in. Right. And you're like, look, we're not good at this, but we're trying.
Hey, man.
Portland doesn't even do that.
People don't give points for loyalty, but they should give them some points for loyalty because you don't see it anymore. It's just very rare.
No, it's insanely rare.
Yeah,
insanely rare.
And so real quick before we get to break here, these are the high-scoring performances of the year versus the Rockets. Damian Lillard had 71. Luka had 50. Ja Morant had 49. LeBron James had 48. Giannis had 44. Anthony Edwards had 44. Trae Young had 44. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 42. Klay Thompson had 42 as well. Klay Thompson had 41 on him also. Devin Booker had 41, along with Tyler Hero had 41 against him. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. So, hey, you play the Rockets. It's time to show up.
Eat.
Exactly.
It's time to eat.
To pat them stats, baby. I'm going to pat them stats. All right, we come back. We'll get into the flex on the other side right here on Ball Don't Lie. 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. We know football season is over, and a lot of you out there are sad about that. I'm a little sad about it, but that doesn't mean the excitement needs to end. You can keep it alive over at MyBookie. If you're tired of losing and tired of the same old betting experience, you can upgrade your betting experience immediately with MyBookie, the premier destination for online sports betting. Whether you bet to earn money or to make the games more exciting, MyBookie gives you the most bang for your buck with their redesigned deposit bonus just in time for March Madness. That's right, folks. Just use the promo code HORN, HORN, to receive a bonus instantly to your MyBookie account. That's the promo code HORN, HORN, to receive your bonus. There's no shortage of games to choose from at MyBookie, and everyone knows that, hey, you're talking about the postseason, you're talking about points, so it's always a good idea to think about betting the overs this time of year. Also, a lot of players out to, make their name, also out to prove themselves this time of year on the biggest stage in March Madness. That's why those player props are also a great way for you to find the edge. With so many brands to choose from, you need a platform that makes it simple to bet and easy to use and easy to win, like MyBookie. Bet anything, bet anytime, and bet anywhere. As long as you're betting with MyBookie, you're betting with the best. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is Smooth Soul Monday edition of Ball Don't Lie, meant to soothe the tortured soul of sports fans whose team may have dealt with an L over the weekend. That would be Mavs fans, because that was a tragic, historic L by the Mavs. Up 27 points, ended up losing to the Lakers. That's Longhorn fans, Longhorn men's basketball, with a disappointing loss to the Baylor Bears. We'll talk about that coming up next segment. Texas baseball won the series, but did lose that last game. Should have swept. Should have broke out the brooms versus Indiana. And David Pierce was upset about that. He did not mince words when being asked about what went wrong for the Longhorns in Game 3 versus Indiana. So ask my man Harge about that. But go check out FLXATX.com, FLXATX on all of your social media platforms. It is basketball season, and it is playoff season, actually, down here in Texas. So they have the area round final scores and regional quarterfinal matchups up there for you. You can go check that out right now at FLXATX.com. So basically, coming up, and today is the 27th. I think it's tomorrow.
Yep.
These matchups, or not some of these matchups. Tomorrow you'll have San Marcos versus Reagan. That'll be
No, San Marcos, I believe, plays.
New Braunfels.
I think so. Let me go ahead and finish it.
Okay. Yeah, at New Braunfels Canyon High School. They say at New Braunfels. It says right here, San Marcos.
Yeah,
whatever.
You're right.
It said at New Braunfels, like at the. That's the place.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Then it also says Buda versus Stony Point.
That's the biggest game
at Burger Stadium.
Yeah, and Zay will be on the call with Roger Wallace on KBVO at Burger.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Shout out there.
Yep.
And also Harker Heights versus DeSoto.
I see you.
Is another
K-Town, baby.
Yeah, that should be coming up.
And the biggest story about Harker Heights is they're playing without their coach, who got suspended for the entire year for a rules violation, and they are still forging on, kind of like the Texas Longhorns.
Hey, shout
Keep
out
moving.
there.
Yeah.
Giving up some of the scores in the most recent round of playoff games here for the 6A area round. Westlake losing to San Marcos 54-48.
Yep.
Buda Johnson, who we talked about moving on, versus New Braunfels. They beat them 61-57. Stony Point 72-50 win over Steele, and Harker Heights 47-37 win over Horn.
Yep, and Rouse continues to roll on as well. They won 44-38. They will take on Veterans Memorial coming up here. A&M Consolidated. Ellison beat Hendrickson. Ellison, my high school.
Shout out.
Hendrickson, the school that my son's going to be going to. So I still have that victory over him. And Pflugerville Conley will play Brian Rudder at Cameron High School.
Okay. Yeah. So you can go check out FLXATX.com to go see all of the different matchups. They're listed up for you for the Tuesday matchups for the area playoffs, teams who are advancing into the next round. So we'll also update that for you tomorrow as well and give you an update. But go check it out for yourself at FLXATX.com, FLXATX on all of your social media platforms. When we come back, we'll continue the hoops discussion, this time talking about Texas basketball. The men losing a disappointing game to Baylor, but also we'll talk Texas baseball as well. My man Harge is back in Texas baseball, trying to get back on the winning track. All of that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. You all know that I love me some Hot Cat tequila. I've been talking about it for a few months now. It is my favorite tequila. The Cat stands for cinnamon, agave, and tequila. And the recipe, it's simple, brilliant, and delicious. Cinnamon, agave nectar, and tequila. That's why it's so light, so smooth. Sometimes it's a little too smooth. It's a tequila lover's dream. And if you're not a fan of tequila, Hot Cat tequila will make you a fan of tequila. It turns any event into a party, and every party feels like a celebration. So celebrate and turn up with Hot Cat tequila. Once once you try Hot Cat, you can't go back to that old cinnamon whiskey or that cheap tequila you were ordering rounds of when you were just trying to get the party started. So turn up your party with Hot Cat Tequila. No watch party is complete without Hot Cat Tequila. It's the perfect way to pregame for the big game, concerts, festivals, or a night on the town with family and friends. As a matter of fact, this weekend, got a chance to enjoy some Hot Cat Tequila, and that's what you should do as well when you're just trying to chill, hang out the house. It's best served cold for a quick round of shots or to sip on the rocks. So visit Hot Cat Tequila or cattequila.com. That's cattequila.com to find a store near you that sells Hot Cat Tequila or to find a bar near you that serves Hot Cat Tequila. Toast and turn up with Hot Cat Tequila. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Smooth Soul Monday right here on Ball Don't Lie. Thanks to my man Patrick. He's the idealionaire that helps out with these things. You can always hit us up. Specs X Line's the best place for it. 512-337-3776. You also can hit us up via Twitter. Hardball Harge in the Twitterverse is at Hardball Harge. Patrick Davis, the real MVP at It's Patrick Davis in the Twitterverse. I'm at Rod Babers in the Twitterverse. Harge, what you got for the people coming up on Harge Knock Life?
I'm going to talk a little bit about my weekend at the Dell Diamond and what you should expect tomorrow night at the Dish as LSU, number 1 ranked LSU, comes into the Dish tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
baseball, though. It's baseball,
Hey,
so anything can happen.
And remember,
Yes,
you
it
can hear it
can.
right here on 104.9 The Horn.
There it is.
Boom.
6:15
I like that.
pregame. Starting
First pitch, 6:30.
That's why he's the real
That's right.
MVP, keeping us on track. All right, let's talk. You know what? Before we get into the Texas men and their disappointing performance on the road versus Baylor, and Texas baseball winning their first series at home, but losing that game 3, which Coach Pierce did not seem very happy about that. Let's talk about Vic Schaefer's club, gentlemen, because not only do the ladies have a big game coming up tonight, but they also coming off a big win against the Sooners, because it is 405 and OU still sucks.
There it
It
is.
always will.
Oh, man, threw that to
Yeah, I think they're going
Take
to
that.
add that on there, too. Yeah, that's how I'm feeling. But they got a game tonight versus Baylor. But I saw Coach Schaefer on the news. He was on B&E, too.
He
this
was
morning.
on B&E.
You brought that. I heard him on B&E this morning as well. Did a great job. You can go podcast that at hornfm.com if you need to. But he is pushing the 10,000 for, is it 10,000 for 10,000?
10,000 for 10,000.
This is the charitable campaign and push, and basically he needs you and us, all of us, to do our part and basically make sure that 10,000 they sell 10,000 tickets. all right, for the matchup tonight versus the Baylor Bears. And Patrick, I'm not sure about all the details, but I believe they have different organizations that have joined.
So yes,
this promotion.
We'll put out. This is what Vic Schaefer tweeted out this morning.
Okay, go. Yes.
Good morning, Texas. We are at 9,775 tickets sold for tonight's senior night for Texas women's basketball game. We need 10,000 fans, and then we will help write checks totaling $153,000 to the Neighborhood Longhorn Program. 6 p.m. tip on ESPN2. And, of course, on 105.3 The Bat. He didn't put that in, but I'll add it.
Shout out.
But yeah, so a bunch of other people have joined in, and other companies and stuff have matched his 10,000 or put in whatever they're going to put in.
Yep.
So, I mean, we were under 250 away. And if anyone is curious of how much tickets cost, and if you haven't been to the Moody, it's a great chance
It is a
great reason
fantastic venue
for you tonight to go check out the Moody, because the most expensive tickets you will buy right now are $15.
Wow.
If you need to save a little bit, $9 tickets available for tonight. So if you want to bring the kids out on a Monday night, you're like, man, I don't know what to do tonight. 6 p.m. game, go pick them up from school, go down to the Moody, enjoy a good basketball game. This Texas women's team is starting to hit their stride right now. They're playing really well. They're a game up right now in the Big 12 standings for the regular season Big 12 championship.
Mm-hmm.
So they need this win against a Baylor team that has historically been a problem for Texas. So I think it's a great idea if you want to go out tonight. And if you haven't checked out the Moody Center yet.
Yes, this is a perfect opportunity.
This is going to be probably your cheapest event to go check out the Moody Center for probably the rest of 2023.
No question.
So I recommend you go check it out tonight and go support these Lady Longhorns. The women's basketball team is they're very good. Really Number one in the Big 12, and Vic Schaefer's got that team. And trust me, you're going to be seeing Rory Harmon playing basketball for a long time on her TV. So go see her right now.
Go check her out.
Yep, they are 22-7 overall. The ladies are they're leading the Big 12 right now. One of the better teams in the country, and that venue, the Mood, is
Just
considered to be one of the top 3 best college basketball venues in the country as well.
Hey, man, and I know from a man, Cameron, who runs does what I do for men's games for the women's games. He's like, man, it's loud there for all the women's games. If you put 10,000 people in there tonight, you're going to probably have one of the loudest women's basketball games of the season tonight at Texas. So let's make that happen.
That would be fantastic. And got a lot of money that would go to a great cause, the Neighborhood Longhorns, one of my favorite charities as well. That's a really good one. I don't know how long it's been around, but it's been around forever. We used to actually volunteer as players. For Neighborhood Longhorns, so they've always been doing a lot of great work. So love that, and I'm sure that before tip off, 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
For tip off, they'll hit the mark. There'll be a tweet of some kind that boom, they hit the mark of 10,000. If not, then I don't know how much I can do, but I'll go buy me a couple of tickets.
Right.
I don't know if I can even go, but I'll go buy a couple of tickets, do my part.
Ding, ding.
You know what I mean?
I just told Patrick during the break, I got 4 tickets, $36.
That's all it cost you?
Boom.
Boom?
That was 4.
All right.
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying. Where else are you going to be able to go see that? See a good basketball game for that amount of money at the Moody Center?
At the Mood.
At the Mood.
Yeah. You can go either for the great basketball, you can go for the great venue, or you can go for both.
You can go for both?
Yeah.
For that price?
For that price.
And you can walk around the whole thing and check it all out. You can do a tour by yourself during the basketball game.
Be a great time to take the kiddos out there.
Yeah.
Just this is the one you can afford to take all the kiddos out. Otherwise, you're taking one kid at a time. Hey, we're picking the kid.
You got 2 weeks from now.
Y'all can FaceTime while I'm at the game.
Master Gardner says, not true. UT graduation on May 6th. Better be free or I ain't going. Yeah, that's right. They don't charge for graduation, do they? Maybe you'll be able to see the mood then.
That's right.
If you're a ball on the budget like I am. All right. Texas men, jumping over to that side, they lose to the Baylor Bears. Speaking of the Baylor Bears, 81-72, guys. They blew an 18-4 lead. And man, basically they went 8 minutes. This is to me the biggest storyline of the game. Essentially, Texas went 8 minutes without scoring, and that led to a 16-0 run for Baylor. And that's when the momentum drastically shifted in the game, and it never truly shifted back to Texas after that. And there's sort of a lot of different storylines we can get into here, but I think we do, I think we should give props to Dylan Dessou. I mean, we got to give that guy some props. He has scored a career-high 24 points, it's a shame that you wasted a career performance
Right.
from Dylan Dessou because he was motivated because he came out, I think, took 6 of the first 10 shots, and half of those, he had made 3, I think 2 3-pointers as well. So he was, man, he really was in the zone pretty much for Texas, and that performance was not enough to lead them to victory.
Well, and the one thing about it is I think the game plan for Baylor was to let Dylan Dessou shoot. Let him keep going, let him do his thing, and not let the other guys get going. Marcus Carr, subpar performance. You think Marcus Carr, and we'll get into it, but do you think Marcus Carr is getting tired? Do you think his legs are starting? Because all the shots that I saw, they were open looks. He just didn't hit them. And I believe that some of that has to do with his legs being tired, him playing so many minutes throughout the season, and now that we're headed towards the back end of it, and does it look like he needs to pick up more or get more rest at this time of the year? But it's hard for him to get rest.
Yeah, and I mean, he's having to do a lot more movement without the ball to try and get away from these defenses. So it's, it's going to be difficult. He did lose that weight during the offseason, which we saw take a huge effect earlier in the season of keeping his stamina up. I mean, I think you need a little bit more rest, but that's going to be, you're basically, you
After
get a
the
week.
tournament?
Yeah, it's gonna have to be in the
You're going to the
tournament,
tournament. But the problem with this Texas team right now is that their depth, other than Jabari Rice, hasn't been great. I mean, Christian Bishop still plays good minutes for them. Brock Cunningham plays good minutes. But as far as guard depth, they haven't really got Arterio Morris up to speed where, I mean, I'd like to see him in some more. They don't seem to want him in there as much. So you're like, really, Arterio Morris is the only other guy who can spell you for Marcus Carr, and they're using him somewhat in that Tyrese Hunter fill when he's not playing at a high level. So I don't know if you're going to need Tyrese Hunter to step up to where that'll give Marcus Carr a little bit more rest. But somewhere in there, you're going to have to find a place for him to get a couple more minutes rest, just trying to get into that. In a game like this against Baylor, the problem was you didn't want to rest him early because you're winning, and you're like, let's build this lead up. And then by the time you're down, it is just excruciatingly tiring to try and play catch-up basketball because every possession is so important that by the end of the game, you're just dead.
There's no margin for error.
No,
at all.
there is none.
And you just start, it's like, I call it quicksand. You start sinking. The harder you fight, the deeper you end up sinking. Those guys you just mentioned, the last 3 players you just mentioned there, Patrick, I even have the note there, they end up scoreless.
Right.
Brock Cunningham, or the Christian Bishop, and then Arterio Morris. You got nothing from either one of those guys offensively.
And not only that, he only took 2 shots. That's the part that was really crazy to me, that Brock only took 2 shots. Even if he's not really wanting to shoot from the outside, he gets some garbage buckets, and he didn't even get those. And then Christian Bishop, he's normally the guy that can come in and get physical and start talking a little bit of trash and get everybody going, and he didn't even have that happening at all. As you said, 12 points from Serge Jabari, and it wasn't one of his better games.
No, it was not.
So you start looking at it and saying, okay, are these guys getting tired as a whole?
Yeah, because when Keontae George goes out, guys,
You should have been attacking.
I'm not gonna lie, I got cocky and arrogant, and I shouldn't have. As a Texas, I figured we had the lead, and then Keontae George goes out the lead and score. I'm thinking, all right, this is exactly what they need. Exactly what they need.
Yes.
This really does set the tone for Texas.
Right.
They lost one of their best players. They lost one of their biggest offensive threats. This should make it a lot easier to defend Baylor. They're a tough team to defend because they got so much skill, but this will make it easier to defend them. And, hell, that's when they started the run.
Yes.
It's like that's when the run started. So that was disappointing, too, because I thought if you told me before the game Texas would have at one point 18-4 lead, and Keontae George would also leave the game in the first half and wouldn't return, I go, okay, well, how much does Texas win by? And how many points do they win by?
That would be the normal thought process.
No.
And I'll be like, yo, dog, they lost by 9.
Exactly.
You were like, what?
Like, what? It wasn't even a close. Like, actually, nah.
No, and there was the worst drought of the season.
Again.
The worst drought of the
9
season.
minutes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, or 8 minutes, I think. It was from the 9-minute mark to the 1-minute mark, basically.
16-0 run by Baylor.
But it's not even 16-0 because it could have been 50-0 or 2-0. 8 minutes without scoring is an unbelievably, that is 2 media timeouts worth.
And that's the one thing that drives me nuts.
2 TV timeouts in that period to turn it around and figure out something to just get to the free throw line and score some points, or just to get a one shot to go in something. And they couldn't do that in 8 minutes. That's absurd.
That's the one thing that always drives me nuts, too, and I'm glad you brought that up, Patrick, is when I have this conversation. I know it's totally different because I'm talking to a 14-year-old kid. I'm always telling him, dude, look at the foul count, number one. Look at that. And if the foul count is at a certain number and you get the ball in your hands, they're going to foul you. Get to the free throw line and knock down free throws. That's the one thing that I'm always confused about with the Texas Longhorns. When you're going in a drought, what's the one thing you should try to do? Get foul.
Points. Yeah.
Get into the lane. Get in there and attack it like you're playing against the Dallas Mavericks. You're going to get buckets. You're going to get buckets in the paint. Get there and attack the rim. It drives me nuts because they will settle for jump shots when you know that you are in a drought. Attack the rim. Attack it.
I believe they made more free throws than Texas attempted.
Because they don't ever go to the rim.
So
yeah, it's
right?
ridiculous.
That's one of those ugly. That's one of those ugly stats that I believe that I don't know the percentage of it, but I bet it's a really high success rate.
They went 22 of 29 from the free throw line, and Texas went 8 of 12.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's one of those. You know, when something's that lopsided.
Yes.
I mean, the success rate is probably through the roof. And I would say this on the flip side of that, Texas forced 21 turnovers.
You were supposed to win that game.
Only got 16 points off of those 21. I don't know how that. I got to go back and watch every turnover and see what happened on the turnovers.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you pretty much off the top of my head what normally happens on those is they slow it back up and then they go into that half-court offense that, especially in games like this with a good defense and a good defensive coach, they just roll into passing the ball forever, and then there's 8 seconds on the clock, and it's a lot easier to play defense when your guy has to shoot, and you know that he has to shoot.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't believe that. That's a crazy number. 21 turnovers and 16 points. So yeah, if you told me before the game they'd force 21 turnovers, I go, oh man, I'm feeling good about
Texas
this.
Did that.
But it's that drought. That drought was just debilitating. They never truly recovered from it. Offensively, and I think you're right, Harge. They got to figure out a way, and this is on Coach Terry too. You got to figure out a way to manufacture points. Then you got to figure out a way to get your team some relief at that time, no matter what it is. Whether it's a design play out of a timeout, whether it's like you said, oh no, we just got to get inside and get to the foul line, whatever it may be. You got to break that up, and they didn't do that well enough at all. Timmy Allen, 12 points. 6 of those came in the final 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
So Timmy Allen wasn't much of a factor either offensively.
He shot 70% from the charity stripe.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what he's supposed to do. Get there, get fouled. But why'd you wait so long?
You got to get there early.
Yes.
Earlier. Yeah.
When your team is in that drought, go get it.
So,
when you can say we shot 45%, they shot 50%, and they're able to beat us solely on the fact that they shot way more free throws.
Yes.
Then all right, well, we're not able to not foul because the refs are going to call the game the way they're going to call the game. But if we know that's the way they're going to call the game, we have to exploit that as well.
Be aggressive. Be
aggressive. I'm down with that for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's probably one of the more disappointing things about it. But Texas has not lost back-to-back games all season long.
Yep.
Texas men have not lost back-to-back games all season long, and they don't have a bad loss. I mean, I'm not talking about the way it looks.
Right.
I'm just talking about the team that they're going up against. Texas have a bad loss?
Yeah, that K-State game.
Yeah, it's K-State.
The K-State game where they put up a record number of points on us at home.
Yeah, that's true.
That was a bad loss.
Yeah, it's a bad loss.
I mean, they were able to bounce back from it and play and get better, but that was a bad loss. There's no way cutting around, hey, we allowed them to score a record number of points in 40 minutes.
Very true. That's a bad one. Yeah, but they haven't lost back-to-back, so hopefully they're resilient with this matchup, too, coming up. Another road game, and they got to go against, speaking of
K-State.
Purple Kryptonite. You got to go.
They're going TCU.
TCU.
So I said,
not
picking
the
up Purple Kryptonite. Yeah, they got to go to play at TCU. So we'll talk more about Texas basketball a little bit later on in the show, but they lose to the Baylor Bears 81-72, and they haven't won there at the Farrell Center since 2016.
Which is crazy.
That's
to
a
me.
long time.
Scott
Which
Drew's
is
a good
crazy
coach,
to me.
and he knows how to coach against Texas.
Yeah.
That's very fair.
He's motivated against
Yeah.
Texas. That's pretty damn obvious.
Yep.
All right, everybody's motivated against Texas. Even Indiana. They got them a win over Texas baseball. They got one.
They got their one.
They got their one in Game 3. Coach Pierce blamed the basically lack of communication, and he's brought up a term you talk about a ton, Harsh, that you have said a lot on this show, situational baseball.
That's it.
The lacking in situational baseball. So that's what he blamed for the team ended up losing their focus and losing Game 3. They did win the series against Indiana, and now they lost 3 in a row. Then won 3 in a row,
Yeah.
and then now they lost their last game. So
Yeah.
still under 500, but showing signs of improvement.
Well, see, and that's the other part of it as well, where you start to look at this team, and again, I'm not making any excuses for them because I've got a chance to see other teams and watch the way that they play. They're pretty talented across, even with young players. I think the communication part of it, and this is something that Coach Pierce talked about last week, I think that they need to do a better job with each other, coaching staff. You got a guy at first base that's coaching first base that used to be a head coach. Make sure he's standing by the guys when they're getting the signs. That way there's no hesitation on the misses. So there needs to be better communication between the coaches as well. And I wouldn't always say that I couldn't say that this was the most embarrassing loss. I think that's a little harsh when you're talking about a baseball game where things happen a lot. Did they miss some signs? Yeah. People have missed signs throughout the time of baseball. Is it the card didn't look right? Okay. Then maybe we can address that. But as far as saying that that's the most embarrassing, you've coached a lot of baseball in your career. Don't put it out there with all these guys like that. Don't put it out there and say that this is where they are. I mean, I know this is the University of Texas, and you want to stand it to a different level. It's Game 5, Game 6, Game 7. You know, if it's happening Game 10, 11, going back to what we were talking about earlier with the pitch clock and all that other stuff, then we got a real problem. Maybe this was the first time you put those things on as well. For them to miss it like that and you to say that, I thought that was a little bit harsh, but I'm not the head coach, and he's going to say whatever he needs to say. But overall, as this team continues to grow, they're gonna have some ups and downs. They're gonna have some hiccups. They may come out tomorrow and play LSU and be dead on and be ready to go because that's how baseball go. You know what I'm saying? I got a chance to watch them this weekend, and they are as great as advertised, but they lost. It happens.
They lost to Iowa. Yeah.
But, you know, there's things that go into the game that you're going to see that may not happen every single day. And then if there is a situation where you feel like guys are messing up, don't run them. You're still in charge of that. You can say not go. You know, there's so many different things. If you believe that they're not getting what you were trying to put out there, you're still in control of that, and you can hold everybody up.
And for the novice baseball fan, the assumption is from the comments by David Pierce that the guys either didn't recognize the signs or read them properly.
Didn't read them properly. He said reading the card.
Reading the card.
And
the card refers to
the wristbands
okay.
that everybody has on there. And
right.
I was in the dugouts this weekend, and I was looking at some of these wristbands. I'm like,
how much stuff is on these wristbands?
I mean, like, what are we doing?
How much stuff is on it?
You're worried about somebody stealing your signs. Wow. You know what I'm saying? We were playing baseball. People are going to steal signs anyway. And even then, that maybe they picked up something that you gave, you know, because it happens. You're throwing numbers over there. Mm-hmm. If they're continuing to watch you do numbers, maybe they figured out something.
Yeah.
You know, some people are really good at that stuff.
Yeah, just
They're
finding
really good
the patterns and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's interesting, but yeah, he was upset. Coach Pierce was very upset about the way his team performed. I think he just wanted that sweep.
Yeah, and
I think he wanted it badly, and he knows his team could have gotten it.
And it also, you know,
he wanted to win.
Sets the precedent too. He sets the precedent for the rest of the year. You know what I'm saying? You can go out there, and I'm not defending the players. I'm not defending Coach Pierce, but you can make a point to everyone to pay attention. And that could be the coaches, that could be the players, that could be everybody. And he could have been relaying that message to everybody, like Augie, but on a different level. When Augie came in there, I got to live with this for as long when he gave that famous rant.
Yeah.
That type of situation, and he just did it that way.
Yeah, make everybody
force
accountable. Everybody to
yep.
look at themselves
exactly.
In the mirror a little bit and have a little accountability. I'm with you on that. real quick before we go to break here, because you got Harsh Knock Live coming up. You're going to get into
LSU and what I saw this weekend and what you can expect tomorrow. Some names that you need to pay attention to.
Yeah, I also think Coach Pierce wanted his team to go into that matchup with LSU confident
Yeah,
and on a winning streak.
absolutely.
Like that
I'm
would
telling you right now.
exactly. I think
They built different.
That's why I think he wanted them to be confident going in. And I think if you can't make them confident going in, then I think he went the opposite. That's why he went to the extreme of, you know what, I'm just going to go off.
Yep.
And then I'll have everybody, maybe they'll be on pins and needles, and maybe I'll apply more pressure to them. But I want to see what these guys are made of going into this matchup.
Right.
And so we'll see. We will. No doubt. We'll see.
doubt.
All right, we got Harsh Knock Live coming up next. We're talking more baseball. Texas, LSU coming up tomorrow. My man Harsh got a close-up and personal evaluation and scouting report on the LSU Tigers. We'll talk about that when we come back right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Logo and Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about my friend, Dr. Greg Eckert, and his fantastic team, because if you have any concerns about your dental health or hygiene, you need to reach out to Dr. Greg Eckert and his fantastic staff, because they can handle anything from general dentistry to your teeth whitening to dentures, porcelain crowns, veneers, dental implants, full mouth reconstruction, even root canal therapy. Even if you have dental anxiety, they specialize in easing your dental anxiety. Whatever it takes to make sure you're getting the best quality dental care available, that's what Dr. Greg Eckert and his fantastic team are all about. I remember my first experience meeting Dr. Greg Eckert. I went over there and I'm just hanging out in the dentist's office, which I'm not going to lie, I had a little anxiety about it. And a woman comes out, lovely woman comes out, and she's crying. I thought to myself, see, this is exactly what I thought the dentist's office was all about, pain and tears. Turns out she was actually crying tears of joy because Dr. Greg Eckert had given her the smile that she had always wanted. And by the time she had given us her testimony, all of us were pretty close to tears too. But that's what he can do. He can do that for you. He can give you a brand new smile in just one day. Permanently secured to your dental implants. No time spent without teeth. You get temporary fixtures until they can complete your permanent smile. And you'll smile again with confidence and eat freely without pain or discomfort. We're talking about a lifelike permanent solution. So if you've been told your teeth need to be replaced, call Dr. Greg Eckert today to learn about this revolutionary alternative to dentures. It's a brand new smile in just one day. It sounds too good to be true. It's not. It's just Dr. U. So give him a call, 512-345-3166. It's a complimentary consultation. You got nothing to lose but everything to gain. 512-345-3166 or visit dreckert.com, DRUECKERT.com.
Welcome back to a Smooth Soul Monday edition of Ball Don't Lie. It's your boy Hardball Harge. You can follow me on Twitter at Hardball Harge. You can follow my man Rob Babers at Rob Babers. You can follow the man behind the glass at It's Patrick Davis. We also love it when you're a part of the show. Hit us up on the Specs text line, 512-337-3776. And this weekend I was fortunate enough to work the Carbach Classic, D1 Baseball, put it together, and the folks over at Peak Events, they did an outstanding job. And if you were able to get out to Dale Diamond, you got a chance to see the live and in living color road show, which is the LSU Tigers. Go Tigers is all I kept hearing the entire weekend. And let me just tell you this, they travel well. Friday afternoon, a lot of people there. Saturday afternoon, tons of people there. And then last night as well, as they did win the Carbach Round Rock Classic. They got a championship belt. It was really cool to see. There's a lot of talent on that field. First look, LSU was number one team in the nation, and they fit that bill perfectly. Iowa came in, played well. They beat LSU. They had a pitcher that threw the first pitch of the game for Iowa, threw the first pitch of the game at 100, the second pitch of the game at 101. He's a sophomore. His name is Brody Brecht, and he's also wide receiver on the football team.
Oh, he one of them?
He's one of them.
Okay.
Very athletic, good-looking kid, strong, fits the bill. Let's put it like that. He passes the eye test.
He going to play in somebody's league.
He's going to play in somebody's league.
He's going to play in one of them leagues.
The bad thing about it is he played wide receiver for Iowa, and last year was Iowa's worst scoring season. As a matter of fact, they put the offensive coordinator on
oh, that's right.
He's got to check in with the athletic director because it's Kirk Ferentz's son, which is why we were talking about nepotism earlier.
You're right.
Yeah, he's on probation, so to speak.
Hey, transfer portal.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. Believe me, there will be some people looking at him, especially the way that he was throwing the ball. They played good. They had a player make SportsCenter top 10 with a play in right field, which was outstanding. Number 3 team that was there was Sam Houston. They hit the ball well, and they make loud outs as well. They were undefeated going into the weekend of the tournament, but they faced a pissed-off LSU, and they had to take it. I don't know what they were thinking, but they were like, man, they didn't get that many hits against that dude yesterday. We're going to have to take it. They took it. And K-State is a team that didn't play all that great. They went 0-3 the entire weekend. It's a team that I think is going to get better once they figure everything out. They had some draft-eligible guys that all the scouts were talking about, and I have a bunch of buddies that are scouting that were here, and it was a great weekend for baseball. But I want to just run through a couple names that I want everybody to pay attention to. The first name I need you to pay attention to is Dylan Cruz. He's a junior. He's been playing since the day he walked on campus. He's from Florida. Good-looking right-handed center fielder, beautiful athlete. And just every time you hear him hit a ball, it is loud, and he can play and cover center field just smooth. Got a great arm in center. I mean, he's a 1-1 type of guy. Like, he will be the first pick overall. He's the number 1 player.
Oh.
He's the number 1 player in the nation in college baseball and in high school as well. He's been mocked to be the number 1 overall draft
What's
pick.
his name again?
His name is Dylan Cruz.
Dylan Cruz.
You won't see Paul Skeens, but you have seen Paul Skeens before. He was the guy that pitched for Air Force, played pitcher and catcher. Now he's strictly pitching for LSU. Texas was in on him. He ended up going to LSU, and he too is a guy that will be in the top of the first round because the way he was pitching on Friday, throwing like 96, 97 miles an hour. But the best part about him, his fastball, he was having a tough time locating, hitting you with that slider. It was unbelievable. He was spotting, did a great job. Also, I think he punched out 11 guys again this weekend, which is, is expected.
For him.
You got to exactly. Here's a cool story that I'm very intrigued by this young man because the more and more I talk to people, he went to IMG, so you already know what that is. You go to IMG, you're a pretty doggone good player. Kid just literally turned 18 years old, and I'm talking about season started, he was 17. as the season's gone on, he's 18. He's been catching every single inning of the season. He's been the starting catcher, and he's got all the raw talent, and he will be a guy. He was drafted 17th round out of high school, decided that he wanted to come to LSU, rightfully so, because he's on a team that can contend for the championship as well. But you just look around the whole entire end. They got Trey Morgan, first baseman, slaps the ball all over the place. He was playing left field this weekend, which was interesting to me. He ran into the wall in left field. He's normally a first baseman, Gold Glove type of first baseman. They had him playing outfield so he could show some versatility for the scouts. And they got that big kid that I was about to tell you about that can slap the ball. That's a freshman as well. He went out there, ran into the wall, and then he had to sit out game 2, but he ended up playing game 3. They took him out precautionary. They're Tommy Tanks is what we call him, Tommy White.
Tommy Tanks.
Tommy Tanks.
I like that.
Is he hadn't even started hitting yet, by the way, guys. He hadn't even started hitting yet. And he is a guy that is going to be a high draft pick as well. He's a sophomore. He transferred in from North Carolina State. He's the guy that you're going to want to pay attention to. Last night they had Chase Shores, 6'8", 245 pitcher. You heard me. 6'8", 245.
He's kind of light for 6'8", ain't he?
6'8",
245.
But when you standing next to him, he don't look like he light.
6'8".
6'8", 245. They got a guy coming out of the back, out of the bullpen named Christian Little. He was a pitcher at Vanderbilt last year, transferred in, 6'4", 225. We may get a chance to see him tomorrow. They have another pitcher, DJ Primo. He's a younger guy. Not sure if you're going to be able to see him. Riley Cooper. We kept calling him Chris Stapleton. Left-handed pitcher, long hair, good-looking dude on the mound. Bigger guy, 6'2", 270 on the mound, but he was dealing as well. They have arms on top of arms on top of arms. And it's going to be fun to watch and see how Texas goes about it this week, tomorrow. The kid that I was telling you about, his name is Jared Jones, 6'4", 230. He had a ball that hit off the wall in like 3 seconds. That's how hard he hits the ball. And if you are a season ticket holder and you have access to be able to get there tomorrow to watch batting practice, just go watch that. Just go watch that and listen to the sounds of the bat. Now, look, they got beat. They got beat by Iowa. I'm not saying Texas can't go out there and do well, but when you see a team like this, you understand where we are trying to go at the University of Texas because of the players that they've brought in, whether it's the transfer portal, whether it's these young freshmen that are coming in that are contributing right away, in the pitching staff. They just look different. That's all it is to it. You've seen it when we watched Alabama football come in here.
Yeah,
we saw when we saw LSU football come in a couple years ago. They're just different. And that's the mindset of a baseball player, or if you're trying to look and see where you want to go, and if you're at the University of Texas and you want to make sure that you show up and you're saying, okay, I want to play at Texas, this is what it's going to look like because we're going to the SEC.
That's right.
This is an SEC team that you're going to be playing against all the time. And you played them here last year and you beat them. This is a different ball club for Texas. This is a different ball club for LSU. But when you walk in there and you just look at the physiques and you look at how they prepare themselves and you look at how they go about every day, I got a chance to see it for 3 days. They may be totally different elsewhere. I don't know. But what I got to see for 3 days straight is something that I'm like, okay, this is very interesting to me. And this is what a team that is going to try to compete for Omaha, this is where Texas needs to be. I'm not saying they're far off. I'm not saying they're close. This is what it looks like. And like I said, they may go out there, LeBaron Johnson, if he's going to be the starter tomorrow, he may go in there and carve them up because he's going to be that guy. The guy for Iowa was effectively wild because he threw all that he could throw. And he wasn't a true pitcher just yet. And that's where LeBaron's trying to go. He's trying to be that pitcher. And we heard Coach Pierce talk about the relationship that he has with Woody Williams. And that's going to be a huge relationship to mend and watch for the rest of the year because if he can get LeBaron right, he got a chance. He's got a big chance. And he could be one of those day one guys. in the draft when it's his time. But he's got to get that honed in. And if he can do that and let him pitch, he's going to be all right. But this is all I'm saying to you is get out there and get a chance to watch this game, because this is a very, very impressive baseball team just by the sheer numbers. Dylan Cruz is hitting over 500 right now, and it's allowed 500. Yesterday, he went 5 of 6 at the end of the year. At the end of the tournament. He went 5 of 6, got the MVP, and he had 3 doubles in the game. And he has an absolute cannon in center field.
That is crazy to be that loaded.
I
guess that's why they're expected to win it all.
That's why they're expected. That's why they're preseason number 1. Even with their loss, they came back in this week ranked number 1 in every single poll.
Yeah, it seems like beating them in a series. You might beat them once, but beating them in a series.
It's going to be, you better bring some of them arms out there, because they got arms and they got arms.
Well, it's a great measuring, kind of barometer for Texas, kind of measure yourself up against what is seen as the best team potentially in the country.
Yep.
It's a great opportunity for those young guys. I'm happy for them. I'm excited for them.
Yeah, Dylan Cruz, 565. Gavin Dugas, 478. Braden Jobert hit 2 home runs yesterday, and one of them was almost into the swimming pool in right field. He's batting 450. Jared Jones, the freshman I was telling you about, 409. Jared Thompson, shortstop, 391. Trey Morgan, first baseman, 304. Brady Neal, the catcher, 300. Tommy White, Tommy Tanks. I told you, he's not even hitting yet. He's only hitting 200 right now, and it just goes on and on and on. They got talent up and down that lineup, and then the arms are very impressive as well.
All right. Yeah. So that is a nice breakdown, nice scouting report on LSU, and why they are expected to win it all, because they are loaded with a ton of talent. So Texas will have their hands full tomorrow, but you can listen to that game live right here on 104.9 The Horn. All right, we come back. We'll get into our off the record. So what happens when you try to make a bad movie on purpose?
Right.
We'll talk about it right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. We know that Austin is a beautiful city. It's a beautiful day, actually, in one of the most magnificent cities in the country. But Austin is a beautiful city thanks in no small part to the skilled craftsmanship of Ironworkers Local Union 482. They've been helping shape this great city since 1935. You see the labors of their love all over this great city in iconic landmarks like DKR Stadium and the Pennybacker Bridge. And as the city continues to grow and thrive, so does Ironworkers Local Union 482. They don't go to the office, they build it. So if you're looking for an exciting new career, you can become a member of Ironworkers Local Union 482 and accept the challenge of becoming the best version of yourself while helping shape Austin's economic development. Ironworkers Local Union 482 are hiring 3,000 people right now. That's right, 3,000 people right now for a huge project, and we're talking about benefits, competitive pay as well. Ironworkers Local Union 482 can offer you a chance to really change your career path. You're frustrated with your career choices and you want to change in your professional path. How about looking up Ironworkers Local Union 482? Right now, you can maximize your potential and be your best self today by applying at ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Time for another edition of Off the Record. And this Off the Record is about a movie that debuted this past weekend that apparently is taking the country by storm, gentlemen. Cocaine Bear surpassed expectations with a $23 million debut at the domestic box office. The movie based on the strange 1985 true story of a 175-pound black bear that consumed a significant amount of cocaine left in a Georgia forest, sniffed up. Apparently, it was like, it was apparently like getting like a ton of great reviews overseas too.
Mm-hmm.
So worldwide, I think they brought the total to $28 million that he got worldwide. But either way, right now it is considered to be a hit, and it's a strange movie genre because I think there is a genre of movies. It's rare, but it happens, and maybe it's not as rare as I think it is. Because Snakes on a Plane did this too. It's a bad movie on purpose, and it's tough to make a bad movie on purpose that's actually entertaining, but it has been done a few times. I think Snakes on a Plane was one of those attempts, and this is another attempt at it, right?
Yeah, Snakes on a Plane was one of those.
It was like, it's bad, it's so bad it's good. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's
It is so
basically
bad because I know that Samuel L. Jackson cusses a lot, but in that movie, it was over the top.
Yeah, it was over the top.
It was over the top.
Yeah.
And it was Snakes on a Plane. Just think about it. But the Cocaine Bear is based on a true story, roughly.
Well,
I mean, some of the other
It's-
part was extra,
it's
but it was a true
yeah,
story.
It is like basically
Yeah.
15% of it. I think is true. The part where the bear
Exactly.
sniffs the cocaine, and then when he dies later, everything else in between, I believe they took a lot of creative license.
Yeah,
with.
but that's the thing is, and this is the key for people miss. It's not that it's a bad movie. It's that it was made to not fit the normal mold of how a movie is done, which normally fails. So it's not that
Right.
it's bad, but they're like, look, we're just going to do things however we want to do them. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But that's like if you have a jump shot and you shoot it all weird, sometimes you can make that jump shot go in, but odds are it's going to be a bad jump shot.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. With
Bill
this,
Cartwright. Shaq?
Oh, Bill Cartwright, my dude, man.
That's what I'm
Hey,
saying.
you talking about?
But that's like, so that's the movie. They're just like, we're just going to do whatever we want. We think it's funny, so we'll do it. And it apparently worked. I had friends who went and saw it this weekend and said it was hilarious.
Oh, no, I haven't heard a bad review about it yet. And I
Right.
think, in fact, this is a guy movie, correct? Have you heard a woman yet? Have you heard a female review
No,
this
I
movie
will
to
also
say
say-
it's good? Because don't take your woman to it. Because she does
I
not
will
want to see
also
this
say
movie.
there's probably something to be said for managing expectations beforehand.
Well,
Yeah,
it's called Cocaine Bear.
Well, no. But if you walk into a movie going, look, as long as it's not terrible, I'll enjoy this movie, as opposed to going into a movie that everyone's like, this is the greatest movie you will ever see. And if it's not the greatest movie ever, you're like, well, that was a disappointment. So you're managing your expectations walking into Cocaine Bear was like, if it's a good movie, then it's a great movie.
As long as it's a good movie experience, I
Yeah.
have no problem with it. As long as I have fun while I'm there, I usually don't get all hostility and, sanctimonious about movies. It's entertainment. But I agree with you, Patrick. I think people, when, if you have high expectations for a movie called Cocaine Bear, then you need to reevaluate your entire life, period.
Right.
Because you should have low expectations either way. But yeah, I think it's, I don't know if, like I said, they just wanted to make their own type of movie. I do think there is, remember what's the movie about the like an alligator, like Lake Placid or something?
Yeah,
Remember
there's
this?
Lake Placid one.
Oh,
Like
that was
Placid.
just so
Remember
too big of an alligator.
Remember was it Deep Blue Sea is another
Yeah.
one
Deep
of
Blue
these?
Sea. I think Lake Placid had Betty White in it.
Yes, it's excellent. So
Yeah.
I think it's like I say, it's a good bad movie. It's an attempt to make a good bad movie.
Is Deep Blue Sea the one that
It's
LL's
LL
in
Cool
it.
J, yeah.
LL's
Well, no,
in
but
it.
is that the one that, like, spoiler alert, everybody, but I believe that's the one where Sam Jackson gets killed in, like, the first 5 minutes?
Yeah, I think you're right about
And
that.
he's on the
I think
he's
you're
on
right.
the
That's one of those
picture at the
things, and
very
it's like-
beginning of
Yeah.
it.
He's doing the speech, like, we're going to do this and that, and he just comes up and eats him.
That is true, yes.
So, like, they know the gimmick,
Yes,
and they're like,
yeah.
look, man, if we just do enough of these gimmicks, it will be good.
Yeah, you're right. It is. It's basically they know all the bits of those types of movies, and it's basically mocking the bits a little bit.
Yeah.
In the movies. No, I like it. I don't know if I'm gonna go to the movies to see it, but I'm
yeah.
gonna see it. Are you going to movies?
No.
I have to see it.
Well, I know no. I thought
The
that there was
Meg.
going to be.
I like that.
I thought there was going to be an outing by Jeff Howe, Craig Way, and Cameron Parker of Light the Tower. They were going to have a field trip
Are they
where
gonna go
all of
see
them
it?
were going to go see it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, I know Jeff was really excited about going to see
Oh
it.
yeah,
He's
they
been
were talking about.
it
They
for a
were
while.
talking about going to do it.
Someone says, yeah, don't forget about Sharknado. Yes.
Yes.
Sharknado.
Well, no, but Sharknado falls into the other category because that was made for TV.
It's
so,
true. Good point.
So that was not a feature film release.
Good point.
So
Good
there was
point.
not quite the budget and everything else that went into this. No, I mean, my buddies went. They said they had a great time. I'm not the type to go to movie theaters very often anyway. And for that,
I'm not going for that.
No. I'm like that's when I'd rather watch drunk at my house.
Agreed.
Like on my couch.
Where
and then
you
I
can
can
change
pause
it.
it whenever I want to
Yes,
too.
that's
And
what
I'm
I was
just
just about to
I'm like,
say.
oh no, you know what? I'm gonna pause it and have this conversation about how that's hilarious now for 20 minutes,
Yeah.
and not have to sit through it 90 minutes straight of it.
Death Eater says Deep Blue Sea got 2 sequels.
Oh my God, I don't remember
That's
that.
amazing. I didn't even know. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, and Death Eater says my niece loved it. She's 23 and gave it a 10 out of 10. Okay. Yeah, and by the way, thank you, CB. He says Elizabeth Banks directed Cocaine Bear, so it's not just a guy movie. No, I know, but it's mostly a guy movie. Like guy, I know it's not necessarily a guy
Well, she
movie.
makes
like a guy-
movies for guys sometimes.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, it is a movie that mostly guys are gonna go see. Like my wife has no interest in seeing Cocaine Bear. I can tell you that right now. I might have to go solo to go see Cocaine Bear because wifey is not gonna go see it.
You know that was already out, right? She's like, nah.
No, I was like, I was interested when I saw it. I was like, this might be interesting. She's like, you would think that's interesting. And I was like, all right, obviously I'm going to see that by myself.
Solo.
Yeah, but I like a good bad movie. I can watch a good bad movie. I'll watch any bad movie. I don't really care. Like it's not that big a deal. I'm not offended by it.
Now, I do think I have not heard that Cocaine Bear has a song that's a terrible song that goes with it. I think it might be missing that because Deep Blue Sea did have LL Cool J's.
No.
My hat's like a shark fin.
No,
That's right.
My hat's like a shark fin.
No.
Yeah, because remember he had that in
that's
his
not real.
when he said, "I'm bad."
My hat's like a shark
My
fin.
hat's like a shark's fin.
Oh, that's real? Are you serious?
real thing.
I've never heard that before.
No, and the only reason I know is because I have enough dumb friends who will say stuff like that when they're like, "Oh yeah, my hat's like a shark's fin." You're like, "What does that mean?" They're like,
I don't
"No,
even-
it's Deep Blue Sea thing."
That is amazing.
So you need a bad song to really escalate your movie.
That's true. If you want to make a good bad movie, you're gonna need a terrible, gimmicky kind of cliched song somehow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Cocaine Bear is out there, and I hear now they're making someone said they're making Meth Gator.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be a straight to TV film.
Yeah,
like a TV
they've been
feature.
making Meth Gator in Florida for 30 years accidentally.
Yeah, there's a lot of meth gators in Florida. That's
real.
for sure. All right, little Cocaine Bear conversation there. All right, we come back. We'll get into NFL news, notes, and nuggets. Cowboys, Texans complete their coaching staffs. Bryce Young not throwing at the combine. Bijan will perform at the combine. Bears leaning toward trading their top overall pick. And should the Cowboys be looking at Jalen Ramsey? And also Stephen A. Smith breaking NFL stories about Lamar Jackson.
Come on.
All of that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Smooth Soul Monday edition of Ball Don't Lie. My man Patrick playing some jams that may soothe the soul of the tortured sports fan whose team took a loss over the weekend. That included Texas men's basketball. Dallas Mavs took a historically tragic actually, loss for the Dallas Mavs over the weekend as well. Hell, my Rockets even took a loss. Let Damian Lillard put 71 on them. We'll get back to those NBA conversations. Also, Austin FC losing to an expansion team in their home opener. We'll get to that as well coming up a little bit later on in the 6 o'clock. Let's talk some NFL news, notes, and nuggets, gentlemen, because there are a couple of them. So we're just going to go rapid fire and bounce these different topics off of you and see what you guys think. Yep. So Bryce Young, first off, he is not going to throw at the combine. That's already been reported. He is not going to throw at the combine. It doesn't, they didn't really get into why, but I think it has something to do with the injury that he had, and maybe they just want as much time as possible so that he can recover, or maybe he just wants to throw in a controlled environment. Yep. And the ultimate controlled environment is at your pro day rather than throwing at the combine where you don't. And this is the difference, too, between the pro day and the combine. In my opinion, it's the biggest difference in throwing for quarterbacks at pro day as opposed to the combine. At the combine, you throw to the receivers that are at the combine, and you're saying, "Oh, that's nothing. That's great." It could be great, but you don't have timing or chemistry with those guys. Right. You don't really know how they come out of their breaks. It really is your first time throwing to these guys, and you've never thrown to them before. And they're out to prove something too. They're trying to run routes at the fastest speed with the and with the best cuts, right, and explosion out their breaks. Nothing wrong with all that. They ain't even thinking about you. They ain't got nothing to do with you. They don't even damn about you, man. I'm trying to run this 9 route and show how fast I am. Right. And it's how I get in and out of my cuts. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And when you have wide receivers at your pro day, these are guys you've worked with before. You already have chemistry with them. They know how you like to run. You like certain routes run, the timing, throwing guys open, the anticipatory element, all that. That's all better in your pro day as opposed to at the combine. So I think that's probably the biggest reason, but I'm sure they're going to throw out it's the injury and they want more time.
And that's fair. Yeah, I mean, because you control it all. Yeah. You don't have to actually do anything.
You ain't got to do a damn thing.
So you can sit there and just say, look at the film. Go through and pass all your physical stuff and show that you're healthy, and then you can be like, no, I'm good. Yeah. I don't have to do anything.
A guy his can do that.
What's a risk reward of doing anything? Could it drop my stock? Could it they'll find more negatives? I'm already at the top. Yeah. How much higher can I go?
And but I'm little too, so that's what they're looking at as well.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. C.J. Stroud and Anthony Richardson, though, they will throw at the combine. Just say heads up, the other 2 quarterbacks. And Will Levis, I'm assuming I haven't heard Will Levis will or if he won't throw at the combine. But I agree with you, Patrick. Bryce Young's got more to lose than to gain probably by throwing at the combine.
Yeah, because as of right now, Bryce Young is number 1.
Yes, he is number 1. But I will say I think what he wants to avoid is the onslaught of potential criticism and negativity because he is going to measure short, reportedly. Yeah. Todd McShay is reporting, I get this from the Todd McShay report, it came out just yesterday, I believe it was. He said he has a scout that's a friend of his, a source. He said, quote, "I love Bryce Young, I really do. I know he's 195 pounds. A really good friend of mine who's a scout," so he was a friend and a scout, had him at 5'10" and a half. I don't know how this scout friend got this close to Bryce Young, but I guess he did, whatever. He said he had him at 5'10" and a half. He said, but I met with him. I've talked to him. He's special. He's different. He has the poise, the presence in the pocket, the playmaking, everything else you want. I absolutely love Bryce Young. I would bet on him, says Todd McShay. But he said if Bryce Young was 6'3", 220, this is Daniel Jeremiah. That was Todd McShay. This is Daniel Jeremiah saying this separately. He said if Bryce Young was 6'3", 220, I would be talking about him like I talked about Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence. But he ain't. If Rod B was 6 foot, I've been drafted in the 2nd round. But I wasn't. Yeah, all right? If you was throwing them dimes like Bryce Young, you might be able to. Because let's not forget, even though he may be slight, and we talked about this before, Kyler's thicker, but I don't think he's taller than Bryce Young. No. And Kyler went number 1 overall, and he was a Heisman Trophy winner. The only problem that Kyler has right now, number 1, is Call of Duty. Number 2, his injuries
that he just had because he's dealt with a bunch of injuries, and maybe that's the knock against him as far as the slight.
Exactly.
And
like
Kyler is still big.
He's still thick.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about it, right? So for Bryce Young, he is short. He is short and he's slight.
Yes.
It's both.
Yeah.
If it was just one or the other, it'd be like, all right, you know what? I could explain that away. I could justify taking such an outlier. But he's both. He's shorter for a quarterback,
right,
and he's slighter. Of 301 quarterbacks drafted in the last 25 years, only 2 were both under 6 foot and under 200 pounds. Neither were drafted in the top 100. So he is
who was it? Doug Flutie?
I actually don't know. Daniel Jeremiah did not say who it was.
I think it might be Doug Flutie. No, because he went to Canada first.
He did. He went to USFL.
Or USFL,
then Canada.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's undrafted. So yeah, they don't draft guys like that.
Right.
He would truly be an outlier if they decide to draft him. And there is a report the Texans are leaning C.J. Stroud, but we don't know how much to put into that report.
Right.
And that's probably why they're leaning C.J. Stroud, because he fits more the prototypical NFL quarterback, a guy that has the size and the body style to deal with the durability issue.
And we'll have this conversation as it goes throughout. And, Combine starts this week, so we'll continue this all the way up until the draft. But as a Texan fan and Patrick, as a former Texan fan, do you care which one? Are you comfortable with either?
I prefer Bryce, but I'm comfortable with either.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
What if Will Levis jumps up there?
No Will Levis. No. This is C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young
especially because this is all new guys again, too. So this is them saying, I think I can help this guy, and I think I can do this.
Right.
With zero track record to prove that you can do it.
Right.
So that's
you want the guy that's most
you want
ready
the
to play
most
right
sure
now.
thing and the most ready to go. I get the worries about Bryce Young, but it is silly season, so I think some of this might be as well. Other people being like, look at that guy. A good gust of wind, he'll be out for a career, and then immediately pick him.
Yeah.
It's a great point about the misinformation, Patrick. I agree about it. So we got to take everything with a little bit of grain of salt. But hey, these are the reports from at least some of the best insiders on the draft. But I think when the draft rolls around, I agree with Patrick. Expect the unexpected.
Right.
Anything could happen at that point. Speaking of, it says right here, Pro Football Talk reporting that the Bears are leaning towards trading the first overall pick, which would mean they like Justin Fields and are leaning toward Justin Fields being their franchise quarterback.
I've been saying this the entire time. It would be crazy for you to walk out there and think that you can go and bring in another quarterback with the same offensive line that you've had and the same weapons. I don't care. He's not a miracle worker. If you're going to do anything like that, you need to go get Aaron Rodgers. If you're going to trade, go get him and see what he can do with that crew. Because even he will say, I'll retire.
Yeah.
You got a quarterback that was about to break a record for rushing yards because he's the best athlete that you have. You didn't have anything else for him. You weren't running the ball with David Montgomery. What you ended up doing was letting him drop back, and everybody was playing man coverage, and then all of a sudden he would run. And that was your offense. That's not his fault. And for people to always talk about this throwing thing and this accuracy deal, it's like it's hard to be accurate if you're getting punched in the face the entire time. I don't care who you are. He's a good quarterback, and if you build around him, you would be okay. They keep thinking that they got a 46 defense and that their defense will be able to keep them in games so they don't need to have weapons. We talk about it every week. The NFL is a totally different football game than what it was back then. Think about it. Think about all the quarterbacks that they've had throughout their time, and this is your best opportunity. Why not go out there and surround them with some people that can help them?
Yeah, I don't know if Justin Fields is going to be an elite quarterback or anything, but I will say there are lessons to be learned from similar situations around the NFL. They took their offenses, they started running with Justin Fields from the Baltimore Ravens. They've admitted that they basically stole it from the Ravens, and they decided, hey, he looks like Lamar Jackson. Can we replicate some of the same things? And they did really successfully. The mistake the Baltimore Ravens have made, to Arch's point, was not surrounding Lamar Jackson with enough skill talent. I think the plus side of the story about Jalen Hurts, yes, Jalen Hurts did improve immensely. Hopefully, Justin Fields takes it upon himself to be intrinsically motivated enough to work his craft and cultivate his craft on his own. But aside from that, what they do with Jalen Hurts, they put a ton of talent around him.
Exactly.
When you're talking about, the A.J. Brown trade, obviously Devontae Smith, having him and Goddard at tight end, they had a lot of talented pieces around him, and that's what helped elevate his play, and that's what they need to do with Justin Fields. So I think you're right.
I will throw this in there though. If I'm gonna say Justin Fields is my guy, and we're doing that, I want to talk extension with Justin Fields now.
Correct.
Because if he says, I want $45 million, I want it guaranteed, I want that, I'm like, cool, you are gone, and I'm going to go get somebody else. Because you are too much of an injury risk for me to do that as the Bears. You're not good enough to ask for that yet. You haven't proven it. We haven't won games with you yet. So I'm asking them to start the negotiation because if he has a different idea in his mind, not saying he does, but if he wants the world, which we've heard what Daniel Jones is asking for, we've heard what some of these other guys are asking for. So that may be a point where you go, all right, where we're at in our thing, this guy wants $35-40 million a year for the next 5 years. He wants a lot of it guaranteed. We don't know if we're going to be able to keep him on the field playing this style. Maybe we'd go ahead and make a move because now we can get a bunch of number one picks and try and build if we don't feel we were comfortable giving that amount of money. But that all happens once you have those talks with him and figure out where his number is and where your number is, and you can make those decisions. But what you don't want to do is go ahead, trade your draft pick, take all your defensive players, put all this talent around him, and then he goes, I want all of this. And you go, well, crap. We were never going to pay. So now we got franchise tag you, and we got to we don't want to end up where the Ravens are right now.
Well, that's the concern. That's why you have to consider drafting a quarterback with that number one overall pick.
That's what I'm saying.
Because of that, you have to. I'm not saying you do it one way or another. Hart is right. He's a young quarterback that's shown some promise, but you have to consider resetting the window just because of all the disadvantages of going all in on Justin Fields, because you just laid him out there very articulately. There's a lot of disadvantages to this whole thing too.
And that's the thing though, is if he wants $30 million the first year and then 30 and it builds up,
he's definitely gonna want that.
No, but I'm just saying, if you're saying I will sign you to extension right now, would you have 1 year of playing pretty good running, but no one in the league is going to give you a ton? Then why don't we do this and we'll build you up and we'll pay you, and you'll be having $50 million in 4 years or whatever, not fully guaranteed, but we can give you this whole deal and let's sign that, and then we have no problem making you the quarterback of our future.
What's his what year is it for him? Is it going for his third?
I think he's extension eligible.
So now, I think he's finally eligible for. I mean, that's a good.
I just talk to him before I do anything.
It's not
because
a bad idea.
The back end of that seems more like what Chicago's done in the past,
right?
Of getting into a place and then not wanting to spend money, but they are now backed into a hole because they gave up the number one overall pick.
Well, two things we've seen each year: the salary cap space is gone up. So you still have that, which is why the Cowboys are looking to renegotiate, basically refinance Dak's contract and give it more to him towards that end, because each year it's going to continue to go up. And then I want to go back to the injury part of it. The reason why these quarterbacks continue to get injured is because of the offense in which they're playing them in is making them more conducive to it, because it's all run plays. If they sit there and let them work on throwing it, or maybe even getting it out of the pocket and throwing rollout passes, that will be something that's totally different. The only reason a majority of these quarterbacks is because they're calling these quarterback runs 12 times a game instead of 4 to 5 times a game. Yeah. That's the risk.
The offensive coordinator probably would argue that they're not advanced enough as a passer to put them in those situations as a prototypical passer, that I have to add the element of the run and force the defense to stop that. And when they devote resources to stop the run, then it opens up elements of the passing game.
Well, and then me as the quarterback, I would say, well, why won't you go get me some wide receivers so my accuracy can be up? Because now I'm working with somebody I trust as opposed to hoping they run the right route. I mean, that's where I'm at, because I'm looking at I've seen Justin Fields when he was at Ohio State. He was throwing the ball well. He was a Heisman candidate. He was taking his team to championships and playing for the Rose Bowl and doing all this other stuff. So when people, as a quarterback, I always get like, what do you mean the dude can't throw the ball? I'm watching him throw the ball. How about looking at some of these wide receivers? Because we get so pigeonholed on certain things that once we hear that, then everybody says, oh, yeah, But if you go back and you watch it, and I know you pick this stuff up easily, you look at it and you're like, he's not really that bad of a passer. I didn't think Jalen Hurts was that bad of a passer. It wasn't that he worked on it like that. Now that he's gotten to different teams, Alabama was using him as a running quarterback. And then all of a sudden, you need to go somewhere else. And the reason why? They changed the offense. Same thing when it came to Texas when they picked up Gilbert. That wasn't his style of offense. He wasn't known as a drop-back quarterback, and working out of that, if they would have stayed with the same offense they used for Colt and Mac didn't panic, he probably would have been a damn good quarterback here at Texas. We tried to create him into something that he's not.
Yeah. Speaking of Texas, Bijan Robinson has, at least it's reported by Tom Pelissero, that he is going to participate in all the on-field drills and testing at this week's combine. I don't love it. Actually, I don't think that's
really?
No. He's Bijan. Why does he have to do all the drills?
So the same thing that we just talked about with Bryce Young.
Yeah, he's the top back in the draft. Not even everybody says consensus, top back in the draft. Only thing he can do is lose money here. No, I don't love it. I'm glad he's going to do it. Good for him. He can go compete.
I think that's why he's doing it.
He's got way more to lose than the game.
Then shouldn't his advisory crew tell him not to do everything?
Bijan's a grown man. He can do what he wants to do.
No, I understand.
So they can advise him, but you still make your own decision.
Right.
You know how that goes.
Right.
You get advice. You go, no, I'm doing it.
Right.
I'm running my 40. Okay, go ahead. And then your agent will go, all right, I support you and I'll do that. So my point is, I'm not saying it's bad or bad for him. I'm not going to say it's going to hurt his draft stock, but he's definitely got more to lose than the game.
Right.
And you're going to an environment that you don't control as opposed to pro day where you have more control. Now, maybe his agents have told him or his agent has told him, hey, the track is faster at the combine than it is at Texas. If that's the case, Texas, you need to do something about your effing track.
Yeah, exactly.
Because everybody's track is faster at their pro day than it is at the combine.
Yeah.
So if he's thinking to himself, well, I don't want to run at Texas because that's a slow track, then we got a bigger problem that we got to deal with. But I think for Bijan, you definitely got more to lose than to gain that situation. Honestly, I think we got to get to the point, and Bijan's good enough to do it. Only Bijan and quarterbacks can do it. You got to start protesting these damn 40-yard dashes. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Lamar Jackson didn't run it. Trey Lance didn't run it. Kyler Murray didn't run it. So you got quarterbacks now who are saying, I'm not running it. It's ridiculous, first of all. And second of all, they have technology now, GPS monitors on these players that are tracking them real time. These companies are contracted out by the University of Texas and by NFL teams. They have databases full of this stuff. They have patented technology saying, listen, we will certify this time. It is electronic time. It is certified digital time in this game, on this play. Bijan Robinson got clocked at 21.9 miles per hour. Like, okay, well, there you go. And we're the same company that's contracted in the NFL with these 8 or 9 or 10 NFL teams for the same types of stuff. Like, it is ridiculous that the NFL wants to put on the 40-yard dash show when we all know that there's very few times in football where you just run straight ahead for 40 yards.
Well, you just said it right, though. You said the 40-yard dash show. That's all it is.
Well, I know it's a show, but I'm just saying, guys like Bijan, they shouldn't participate in the clown show. They should go, nah, man, I'm good. Y'all want my certified times? I got them all here listed by credible companies. This is all digitized. This is all electronic. This is in football with pads on, with actual plays, which all this matters. And I'm running 21.9 miles per hour. No back is faster than that. What do y'all want? It is somebody's got to take a stand. It is ridiculous. If you're a big time enough, take us. And the NFL will go, yeah, he's right, man. We just watch the film. He's faster than that. So it's ridiculous to take part in this little clown show they got going on.
I like that. Take a stand.
Yeah, and it's guys like Rod B. I'm a Jag, a jabroni. I had to do it. All right, I had to get ushered around like I was in a meat
Somebody just
plant.
asked that,
so
Rod.
I get it.
Somebody just asked that right there. They wanted to know.
No,
about
I went to the combine. I'll tell my combine story later on this week.
Yeah.
But it is ridiculous that people of the ilk of a Bijan Robinson is going to participate in the NFL's farce, the 40-yard dash.
No, I get it.
And then your stock drops. You're like,
somebody gonna say he's not faster than what we thought it was.
Like, he only ran a 4.49. I thought he was gonna be a 4.45. So I'm dropping his stock. Like, what the hell?
But that's the thing. His stock will not drop, and he knows it unless he runs a 5.5. Right. And then even then they'll be like, "Well, were you sick or something?" He knows. I think what he's and I mean I think it's just because what it is Bijan's Bijan, and he's one of the best character guys you're going to find in the draft.
I agree with that.
And him doing this shows that he is a team player to the NFL, a team player to whoever drafts him. He's a character guy. So whether it actually affects your draft stock or not, it may make a difference if you were thinking we don't want to draft a running back at this position. He would say, all right, well, we're going to go ahead and we can draft Bijan because he is a special, not only talent, but special person. And he climbs up our board to be a top 10 pick now because of the entire balloon of what this person is.
Yeah.
That's the
good
one.
point.
That's the one side of it I can see. I 100% see your side. Makes more sense to me personally, but I can get where he just goes, no, this is who I am, and that's why I'm going to be a top 10 pick in this draft.
Yeah, 'cause you try to get drafted higher on character. That's not the NFL.
I agree.
The NFL,
I agree.
I think we all agree. NFL don't use extra points for character. They will put it in the document like, yeah, he's a good kid, but you don't get drafted higher because of it.
Christian McCaffrey ran a 4.48 at the combine, and he still was a high draft pick too. So, do you think Bijan runs in that area?
That's a
right
good point.
there?
No, Bijan's special, like Bijan and
Yeah,
Saquon
yeah.
and CMC. Well, my point is, since then, and every year since then, the running back position is devalued more and more.
Correct.
More and more. And the truth is, this is actually a good running back draft.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's actually a really good running back draft. You can get the kid from TCU late in the round. You can get him.
Cowboys.
Kendra Miller. You can get Roshan Johnson in the third or the
Cowboys,
fourth round.
pay attention.
Right? You can get, what's the kid from A&M? A-Chain.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, them, man. You got this is the ones in Texas.
Always call
That's
them
just-
Acme.
That's just the ones in Texas.
Yeah.
I ain't even
That's
got to the
true.
ones outside the damn state. Dude, it's a deep position this year.
Yeah.
And the teams are like, well, think about drafting Bijan early in the lottery of the NFL.
Zach
say it
Evans
was.
is in this draft. And
Zach Evans in the another Texas one.
Yeah, another Texas
You know what I mean?
one.
But he's a great player.
Yes.
I can get him in the third or fourth round.
Yeah.
You want me to draft Bijan in the top 15, and then I got to pay him
Yep. For the
an
rest of
overvalued contract in
Yeah.
3 years when he wants to be the highest paid back in the league because he is that damn good.
Yep.
So I gotta pay him twice. I gotta pay draft capital up front, and then I gotta pay the contract on the back end. Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be that. I love Bijan, but I don't want to be that as a team. That's not. I'm telling you, that's not smart football. That is not how you build a roster in the NFL. The truth is, teams like the Eagles or the Buffalo Bills that he puts over the top, they should do it. But everybody else, I'd watch Bijan drop. He is good. But the running back position should not be drafted very high. We all know this. No matter how much you fall in love with Bijan, don't forget the rules of the draft. It's just not a position of value like that. It's not.
Unless they move him different positions like they did when they drafted Travis Etienne. They moved him to wide receiver. Remember, Urban Meyer drafted him at running back but moved him to the wide receiver position, playing the slot. And we were like, what are you doing?
Doug Peterson moved him
Yeah,
back.
man moved him right back, and look what happened.
This is my thing about
Killed it.
the generational running backs that have been drafted recently. Have they worked out? Saquon Barkley,
Yeah.
Christian
Yeah, I mean,
McCaffrey.
yeah.
Have any of them worked out? They don't work out. Why they don't work out? Because the expectations and the value is way too high
The
when you
value's
drafted
high,
them, and you always think, "Damn, did I get my money's worth?" No, you didn't, and you won't. You won't ever get it that high unless that running back turns out to be Barry freaking Sanders. You're never gonna get it. Adrian Peterson, maybe.
Well, and
I think
if you're the type
Bijan's
of organization.
close.
Yeah, you got the ones after that have not really. Saquon Barkley hasn't worked out. Was that a good one?
He's been hurt a lot.
What
That's
about
the
Christian
problem.
McCaffrey?
Well, he's done well once he moved around.
But he also has been hurt a lot too.
Yeah,
and let's
the injury factor.
And the
yeah,
organizations
yeah,
that are
the
picking
injury
running
factor.
backs in the top 5 picks are usually not organizations that put together Super Bowl rosters.
Ding, ding, ding,
Yeah.
ding, ding, ding,
So
ding,
that's
ding,
kind of
ding,
the problem.
ding.
That's why he's got to
Cowboys?
drop.
That's what I'm saying, though. That's the point. Like these are not worked out. These are not smart picks. I love Bijan.
Hard his face right there.
he caught me off guard with that one. Cowboy.
Oh, you could have said Giants.
I'm like, you right.
The Cowboys literally
You right.
did it.
Yeah.
They are the prime example
look,
of this. Drafting
you right.
running back in top 5 and then overpaying that running back prematurely later. That's I don't know if I want to be strapped to Bijan because of that. I would love to have Bijan for 3 years on a rookie deal, but then after that, I don't want to have to deal with that awkward situation of,
Right.
am I going to pay this guy now? A running back who I
that's
know
gonna be the
is
biggest question
already on the downswing?
Yeah.
Because every running back is.
Well, we know that he's been underutilized at Texas, so he might got some better reps in him because they didn't use him his freshman year and they didn't use him last year.
Yeah.
So he got some extra reps in there.
He does. Okay, I want to get to the Lamar Jackson update, so we'll do that on the other side. And we'll also get to the Texans and the Cowboys completing their coaching staff. So we'll kind of continue the NFL discussion on the other side, right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. If time is money, and we know it is, of course, my friends at Apple Leasing, they're in the business of saving you both. They're going to save you time, save you money, but also find you great value. Apple Leasing has the ability to put you in any make or model vehicle that you want. The professionals over at Apple Leasing can help you get the price you want, the payment you want on the car that you want. And all it takes is one phone call or one click on Apple Leasing's website, and you'll get a quote on any make or model vehicle that you want. They can even give you an estimate on the value of your trade-in right over the phone. Apple Leasing's simple, interest, easy lease, so it makes everything simple because it gives you more flexibility, which is going to give you more possibilities and options to help you find the vehicle that fits you best, but more importantly, the vehicle that fits your budget best. Inflation is through the roof. We all know it. We all feel it. It's never been more expensive to buy a new car, buy a used car, buy anything for that matter. So leasing makes more sense than ever. You're only paying for the part of the car you're actually using. So call Apple Leasing today at 512-346-9977 and let them see how much money they can save you. They get all the same discounts, all the same incentives that the dealers do, except my friends at Apple Leasing, they pass those savings on to you, the customer. So give them a call, 512-346-9977, or visit appleleasing.com. That's appleleasing.com. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Trying to get to Raj Ram today, and I want to continue the conversation we were having about the NFL. Before we get into the Cowboys and the Texans completing their coaching staffs, this Lamar Jackson story has now taken an interesting turn. So last week, the reports were by Jeremy Fowler of ESPN that the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson had come to a bit of an impasse, a stalemate, if you will. And he was reporting that Lamar Jackson wanted a fully guaranteed deal. And that's why they weren't able to further the negotiations. But Stephen A. Jackson went on ESPN and had a very interesting...
Stephen A. Smith.
Stephen A. Jackson. What is it?
We've been talking about Randall. We've been talking about Samuel L. We've been talking about
Stephen A. Smith.
Lamar.
Why did I say Stephen Jackson? Why do I even think about why is Stephen Jackson in my head right now?
Because we were talking about, and during the breaks, we were talking about running backs that were drafted high.
Yeah.
I don't know how Stephen Jackson got there, but I'm just trying to help
I
his
don't
brother
know
out.
why I got that. I don't know why Stephen Jackson in my head. I apologize about that. Stephen A. Smith, I apologize. He was on ESPN, and he said he had sources that refuted the report that Lamar Jackson's camp wanted, or at least they were negotiating for a fully guaranteed deal. Here's Stephen A. Smith. All right. So he's saying they never asked for a fully guaranteed deal. Now, not only are his own peers over at ESPN obviously disagreeing with him because Jeremy Fowler's already stated that he wants a guaranteed deal, but DeMaurice Smith, who is the president of the Players Association, he went on the Pivot podcast and basically hinted that Lamar Jackson does want to get a fully guaranteed deal. He basically went on there and said, he essentially hinted at the entire premise of the conversation regarding guaranteed contracts. And that's why he went on the show to talk about guaranteed contracts and where the NFLPA was at regarding that. And he said, essentially hinted the NFLPA is helping Lamar Jackson get a fully guaranteed contract that will bookend the Watson deal. And in turn, lay the foundation for other quarterbacks to secure fully guaranteed deals. So DeMaurice Smith is saying, no, we're working on this fully guaranteed deal. Now, maybe he wants to push Lamar Jackson for a fully guaranteed deal, and Lamar Jackson's agent has not, fully bought into that. He has not embraced the fully guaranteed deal, and that's not his point of negotiation. But multiple sources are saying that Lamar Jackson wants a fully guaranteed deal. And Stephen A. Smith, that's the first time a report has come out that I've heard that refutes the fully guaranteed deal narrative. Now, it is still said that the best offer from the Ravens is $133 million fully guaranteed. Even DeMaurice Smith said that, even in the podcast, he reiterated that, but said that earlier. The Ravens' best offer before the 2022 season, so that's just before this season, this past season, was $133 fully guaranteed million fully guaranteed.
Interesting.
And we don't know how far apart they are, but if they haven't really offered him, I don't know, whatever the precedent is right now, whatever Kyler Murray got, I think he was the last quarterback to re-up. So they got to offer him at least more guaranteed money than Kyler Murray got. If he doesn't get more guaranteed money than that, then that's a non-starter. I assume he's still asking for a fully guaranteed deal. So I'm not going to say I don't believe Stephen A. Smith, but I think that there may be a miscommunication about it. I still think he wants a fully guaranteed deal, or at least he's shooting for it. Because otherwise, what's the holdup here?
Right.
What's the point of the stalemate?
Quick note: Kyler Murray, 5 years, $230 million, $160 million guaranteed.
$160 million guaranteed. So at least he wants $170 million guaranteed, or 65. Thank you, Patrick. So if he's not asking for a fully guaranteed deal, Patrick just gave you the numbers. He's got to at least get into the $160+ million guaranteed range.
Well, I remember our conversation that we had the other day is that you sit here and you look at how these numbers are coming about. Your representation is now you. You have been representing yourself, so the stories that are being told hurt you because your feelings get into it instead of being able to sit there and go through the negotiation where your agent can shield you from the conversation. I've talked about this numerous times about arbitration. When you're in the arbitration hearing and you're hearing how bad you are, it is something that gets underneath your skin. And you can use it as motivation or you can hold it against them. But right now it's being held against them because you aren't budging on what you want.
Yeah.
So it creates a bigger story than what it could be. Like this deal probably could have been done a while back if he wasn't his own agent.
If he wasn't his own agent.
If he wasn't his own agent, which is why when Stephen A. says that, I'm like, who is the one that spoke out to you from his quote camp?
His camp.
But that's
He
the thing
is the camp.
His
no,
people.
no. But that's the
Mom,
thing
his mom.
is he does have a camp,
His
I bet.
mom.
But the problem is I don't think his camp's in the room.
Correct.
That's the issue of all these reports. I think all these reports are coming out of people that aren't in the room. So if Lamar Jackson's coming out and he comes out and says something, and then the Ravens say something, then we don't know necessarily because Lamar Jackson, we're getting it secondhand from the camp of what Lamar Jackson told him. I don't know how many of them are actually in the room. You assume he gets a lawyer in
He's
there
gotta
if it's
have
not
somebody,
like
to
a lawyer or
advise
something,
him.
for just contractual talks.
Agreed.
Where it's not like, hey, I'm not negotiating this, but I can go to Lamar and go, hey, that's not standard.
Yeah, that's a great point. I wonder who is in there with him. I hope it's not like his mom.
Well,
I'm not
no,
joking
well,
either.
and
No,
this is
I
the
know
thing
exactly.
is the
his
NFL
mom was helping him out with
Yeah,
this.
she was.
But there's things of NFL has rules with their agents.
Yeah, you gotta be
that you
certified.
have to be certified.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't have a certified agent, they're not allowed in the room. I don't believe.
That's
I
I
know-
I don't know if it's not allowed in the room, but in terms of negotiation, I don't know how much they would be involved. That's a good point.
I know that there was a thing with one of the players who was asking to get traded this year. That he had an agent that was not certified, and so he had to call their teams to gauge interest in his trade because the agent was not allowed to contact any other teams because he was not certified. So they were just like, no, you can't talk to anybody if you're not a certified agent. So I don't know how far that goes into negotiation with a player that's already on your staff, already on your roster, but there are rules about it. So it can't be that he has 10 guys in the room with him helping him out. Whereas if you're an agent and you're certified, then you have at least a staff behind you.
Yeah, I never understood Lamar Jackson's.
I didn't either.
Yeah, and the fact that he had to represent himself and he was so adamant about it, I don't understand why he was so passionate
Trying to
about
cut out the middleman and cutting himself out of money.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the first big mistake that was made was by him deciding to represent himself.
No, man, I deal with this in the music industry enough of people being like, well, this agent, this guy's trying to put our music on movies and TV, and he wants 50%. And you're like, I know that's a lot, man, but if you don't hire him, you get $0. So 100% of zero or 50% of whatever he gets you. I'm going to tell you the higher number is always going to be 50% of whatever he gets you.
Yeah, and you got to work, though. Now, you got to be your own agent. That's another job.
Yeah.
That's
you
a
have to
totally
represent
another
yourself
job.
now. That's a job that now you have to do. So Lamar Jackson, I'm with. I don't understand. He needs to go hire David Mulligetta now.
I mean,
know
I don't
what is taking him
understand why
so
none
long.
of these guys are getting
David
him right now.
Mulligetta
Yes.
got Deshaun Watson a fully guaranteed contract with multiple allegations of sexual misconduct against him when he hadn't played a down of football in the previous year, and we did not know at the time when he signed the contract if he was going to play another down of football for the next year. And he got him a fully guaranteed deal, and you want to represent yourself? What are you doing? He lives
Exactly.
right here in Austin. Just go knock on the door, say, "Hey, Lamar, hey,
Yeah.
say, David, I need you, man." And I guarantee you, we would take on the task.
He'd be like, hey, man, I
he
got
would
you
welcome
on
the
this one.
task.
And that's
But you
unfortunately
owe me
he
big.
might learn the lesson of what's 100% of 160 million, or what's 80% of 250 million.
Right.
I mean, I'm not a mathematician, but I bet you're still going to come out ahead on the 250.
I like them
and
numbers.
a lot less stress and headaches.
Yeah.
A lot of- you know,
and you could just go ball.
And you come out looking better because you go, man, my agent, what a jerk. But
Right.
I'm here to play football.
Yep.
You know what? And guys, I always say that certain men, not all men, but certain men, they don't want to deal with the awkward conversation of having to break up with a woman. So as cowards, we will sabotage a relationship and force a woman to really, assert her self-respect and just say, I'm not going to let a man treat me like this. I'm out of here. And the man goes, whew, thank you.
That worked out
I've
for
been
me.
waiting on you to break up with me for so long. That's why I've been acting like a D-bag and an a-hole. I do wonder, something deep in me wonders if Lamar Jackson wants this thing to go bad so he can get the hell out of there.
Well, I wonder if the Ravens do too.
And both sides, yeah.
I feel like
I
this
think
is
it's equal.
I think it's
It could
equal.
be.
I think they're
it's
both
Lamar.
like, yeah, we should move on, but neither one wants to be the villain who ends it.
It could be that, because I feel like that. Have you ever been in that kind of relationship where both of y'all wanted to end, but neither one of you
Wanna be
has
the
the
one to say
courage
it?
to actually break up with the other? Both of you are cowards. Have you been in that situation?
I've not been in that, but
I have not been in that.
I think I've been in that relationship before, actually.
I think we've all gone
now
through
looking back in
something like
retrospect,
that.
you're like, actually, we should have broke up months ago. What were
Yeah.
we doing? Like, I don't know. We hated each other. But Patrick, you might be on to something. I definitely think for Lamar Jackson's side, something in me feels like maybe subconsciously he's sabotaging this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you know what? I want out. And I want my guaranteed money when I get out of there, too.
Then walk in there and tell them, I want out.
no, I want you to come out and say we want to trade you. So then I get to walk away and go, man, Baltimore, I tried.
I love
Baltimore. I love
Yeah.
you, Baltimore. I wanted to be here. Those jerks didn't want me. And they're going, look, man, we will keep you if you give us the right deal. But if not, we can't invest our future in you because you're always hurt. And you haven't got us. You've won an MVP, so we'd rather move on and rebuild our team because we feel your window's closing.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to put a bunch of money on you on a window that may be closing.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how this thing plays out. And at the combine, we'll have a lot more progress, advancement on this story because that's when all the big wigs, the executives are getting together.
That's when
I'm
they
sure.
sipping on that drink and trying to make some deals.
That's exactly where the deals are made there at the combine. All right, so that's a little NFL discussion. We'll come back. We got on the other side another off the record. We'll come back here and jump to some pop culture topics right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 Horn.
Mike Harch here, and I want to talk to you about Quick Roofing. Quick Roofing doesn't require any money up front until 100% completion and, of course, 100% satisfaction. Quick Roofing also believes if you can't take care of a customer, you're not going to be in business. That's why they've been around for over 38 years, and because they continue to take care of their customers. You get a free you get a free no obligation inspection if you go to quickroofing.com today. They have everything that's photo documented. They have honest assessments, over 200,000 customers, 7-year workmanship warranty. They've been working with builders and homeowners for over 39 years. They're fully insured and they have all state and local licenses. They also make sure that they have a dedicated project manager on job site every single time. So do yourself a favor and get with Quick Roofing. Go to quickroofing.com today. That is quickroofing.com.
All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Time to get to another off the record here.
Hold on. This is the song that Baltimore is playing to Lamar Jackson, or is Lamar Jackson playing it to them? They don't love me no more.
I think Baltimore loves Lamar Jackson. I just think they know that the love for Lamar Jackson ultimately for them could be a toxic type love for them. Yeah. Because either it's a guaranteed contract, and I said before, people don't like to commit to dual threat quarterbacks.
Yep.
And it may be something that with new information analytics can counter that point with, some data that shows you, no, it doesn't really matter. Dual threat quarterbacks are not more at risk than pocket passing quarterbacks. But in all of our heads, even though we're, on this show, we all love dual threat quarterbacks. And I think most of us would prefer a dual threat quarterback over a traditional pocket passing quarterback. There's a almost ingrained belief in football fans that they inherently deal with a more dangerous career and that they're at more risk during their career. And it probably is true. I'm just saying, we haven't seen the data behind it yet, but the eye test and all of our just football knowledge tells us, man, that dual threat quarterback, you better watch it.
Yeah.
He ain't going to be healthy all year. And a lot of the most notable ones are not healthy all year.
Correct.
Jalen Hurts wasn't healthy all year. Kyler Murray's not healthy all year. Josh Allen was.
Right.
Good.
Yeah, because he's bigger,
Jones,
though.
Yeah, Daniel Jones. He's bigger.
He's bigger. They're bigger.
Daniel Jones was. I've always been fascinated with it. And now that most of the young quarterbacks coming up have more than functional ability, they're dual threat quarterbacks.
Yeah.
We're going to have to actually sit down and have a data-driven conversation about dual threat quarterbacks. And then find out as an organization, is it worth the risk?
Yeah.
Sometimes it may be worth the risk. It's worth the risk. Look, if we got 3
wins are worth the risk.
If I got 3 years with Lamar Jackson, the most unique quarterback talent in the NFL, arguably.
Yeah.
And I can just build, and that's what they really screwed up. They should have built around. They should have went more aggressily building around Lamar Jackson.
Correct. You thought you had it all with Mark Andrews.
You screwed up.
And you needed to add another piece on the outside. And what'd they do? Go get Rashad Bateman?
Yeah, they screwed up on that.
They tried to be San Francisco. They tried to be a defensive-based team, and that he would be the guy who could get them points by himself on offense, not realizing, we have a MVP caliber quarterback. We kind of need to shift focus.
Thank you.
It's like because they did think about it. They initially, when they drafted Lamar Jackson the back of the first round, they said, I remember John Harbaugh saying this, he said, man, we got to think outside the box, and we want to change the way people view the quarterback position.
Right.
Right. We want to redefine it. And that's why they decided to go all in with Lamar Jackson, brought in Greg Roman to run the same offense he was running with Colin Kaepernick. And where I think they screwed up was, and a lot of us do this too, they bet on themselves but didn't plan on success.
Right. Right.
They should have been like, this is definitely gonna succeed.
Yep,
and they should have just been stockpiling weapons around Lamar Jackson. Because if they did, we all agree, he would damn near be unstoppable.
Yeah.
But they didn't. They almost built it and tried to put in all these fail safes instead of going all in aggressively with it. And now it's coming back to bite him because he's still elite talent at the quarterback position, and they still are in the window to be a championship contender with him. But now you're behind, and that contract's going to put you more behind.
Yeah, and
you should have used that rookie contract window to go. That's what the Eagles just did.
Yep, exactly.
Eagles might pay for it a little bit, but because I think they got like 8 free agents now that's going to be coming up.
And they lost all their coaches.
They lost all their coaches.
So I can't wait to see how this plays out for Jalen Hurts. I don't wish anything bad, but I'm a Cowboys fan and he's in my division.
Hey,
sorry, bro.
He's got 2,000-yard receivers, and they got multiple first-round picks over the next couple of years. So they're
gonna be okay.
If they get Bijan, y'all better watch out. They get Bijan, all hell's gonna break loose.
Yeah, I will hate everything about Bijan during that week.
Yes, no doubt.
It's hate week.
All right, let's talk about this really quickly. Brandon Miller. Yep. I say so. Apparently, in his last game, this became a big story, but it's something that he's been doing all year long. And, of course, Brandon Miller recently became a hot topic of the conversation because there were allegations by the testimony of one of the detectives that he brought the gun to the scene of the murder of the young lady, Jamia. I can't think of her last name right now. But, yes, of the young lady, Jamia. So
Harris, I believe.
What is it?
I think her last name is Harris.
I think you're right. I believe you're right. Jamia Harris. Thank you for that. And then, by the way, his lawyer did refute that. His lawyer came out and said that his client did not did not basically bring the gun to the two men who are charged with the murder.
Right.
He said he drove the car, but he wasn't bringing the gun. Like they made it seem like the text from the detective, or at least testimony of the detective, made it seem like the text from Darius Miles was to him to bring the gun, and that's why he came, was to bring the gun.
Right.
And the lawyer said, no. He was already on his way there, and he was actually, maybe he tried to get in line, but the line was too long, and he left. So he said it had nothing to do with the gun as to why he was there. He was there on his own accord, and really
to pick him up.
Yes, and to be a good teammate and a good friend. So they're deferring stories here about what went down. Anyway, so Brandon Miller, who's the best player from Alabama, and he's the one that right now is considered to be a lottery pick. So he's got the most to lose right now with the situation for the Bama side. But obviously somebody's lost their life, so it's just a horrible, sad story. But apparently there was a pregame celebration they've been doing all year long, Alabama. And so they were doing it before the incident happened. They were doing this, where it's a pat down. Basically, like Brandon Miller walks down the line, getting high fives to all the guys, and then one of his teammates at the end of the line pats him down like he's going into a club or something, and pat him down.
Yeah. So basically, it's if you ever see in a basketball game, you ever go to one when they announce the starting lineups, the guys come down the lineup, high five everybody, and there's usually at least one guy at the end, and they have a special handshake, or they do a little dance together or something like that, and they have one for everyone in the starting lineup, and it's just every team does it. It's a thing, but his is he puts his arms out, and the guy pats him down on the sides of his body.
Yeah.
So he does a pat down, which is insane to still be doing.
It's to still be doing.
I get you wanted to do it before it was a thing. It may have been a joke of something, but yeah.
After the incident, Nate Oates, the coach of Alabama, said it's not appropriate. It's been addressed. I can assure you it won't happen again. It's upsetting and frustrating that nobody within the program, team, coaches, hell, trainings, anybody didn't notice. That's inappropriate, dog. We shouldn't be doing that now, considering somebody lost their life.
My question is, did anybody first off, he should have known it. The player should have known it. Number one.
Yes.
Nobody should have came to you and said, bro, you can't do that anymore. You should have been conscious enough, because you have been getting all kinds of flack. And don't tell me you don't read the paper. Don't tell me you're not talking to anybody at school. You should have known that, number one. Number two, you got to know what's going on around you, bro.
The other kid.
You're under investigation.
Yeah, the other kid should have been like, hey, man, you know what? I don't want to get brought into this.
Yes.
You know what? I'm good. I don't need my name plastered across social media for now being a part of this. I'm going to come to you before the game and be like, hey, man, do you want to change that up? May not be in good taste.
Yep. It's rough.
It's disappointing. But Nate Oates has said not going to happen again, and they don't have to worry about it. It was very inappropriate. He did apologize for it. I do wonder if Bama will cave at one point and suspend him. I don't think they will.
They got to. Let me see if they play Vanderbilt here coming up anytime soon. You pick that one game where it's like, oh, okay, you're going to get your one.
Hey, but man, they're suspending him next season when he's in the NBA.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that'd be good, right? He'll be spending all of next season. It's a very sad story, of course, because somebody did lose their life. But his lawyer, and by the way, the police essentially agree with his lawyer, because they have decided no charges will be pressed, and they said publicly there's nothing to charge him with.
Yeah.
So I think whatever their version of events is closer to his lawyer story than it is to the testimony of the cop.
Correct.
Because the testimony of the cop made it seem like,
he's going straight to jail.
Need to charge that dude.
Yeah,
if he got the text to get the gun and brought the gun.
Yeah, he was talking about he was an accessory.
But obviously different sides to that story. All right, we come back. 6 o'clock hour, we'll talk Texas basketball and Texas baseball right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a Smooth Soul Monday, which means my man Patrick playing jams intended to soothe the tortured soul of sports fans whose team may be dealing with a loss over the weekend. That was Texas basketball. Also, Texas baseball. Even though they won the series, they did lose Game 3. And Coach Pierce a little disappointed in his squad for losing Game 3. They got a big matchup coming up tomorrow versus LSU, so we'll talk to my man Harge about that coming up here momentarily. You can be a part of the show on the Specs text line, 512-337-3776. Also, Austin FC. Speaking of teams taking an L, their home opener of the season, they took a loss to an expansion franchise, the St. Louis City FC. So we'll talk about that coming up next segment and get into a little Austin FC discussion. All right, gentlemen. Texas basketball, men's basketball team, by the way, lost to Baylor over the weekend. Speaking of Texas basketball versus Baylor, the women are playing Baylor right now. They are up 9-8, and you can actually hear the women on 105.3 The Fan happening right now. Not 105.3 The Bat, sorry.
Yes, 105.3 The Bat.
Sorry.
Craig Way on the call.
Craig Way on the call, the voice of the Lord.
the
The
artist.
hardest working dude. that
He
I've
pulled
ever
double
seen.
duty last week.
Yeah,
right?
he's not afraid
Did a
of it,
basketball game and a baseball game in the same day?
Same day.
Oh, he
same-
did. He did 3 innings of the first, the home opener.
Wow.
And then went over to basketball. Got stuck in the garage trying to get out.
Oh no!
Had a
Yeah.
whole. Come on
Hold
now.
on, we can't get an escort for Craig Way.
Oh, they couldn't even open the gates today. There was some
no.
logistical problems at the first baseball game. Let's put it that way.
No, Craig Way needs a police escort when he's gonna pull double duty like that,
With
so
you
we
on
can
that.
just dismiss all of the BS, man. Get him a police escort. Boom. Just take him right there. Probably put him on a motorcycle. Just put
Yeah.
Craig Way on the back. Boom, and then take the officer of the law right there. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's
going
across
like
the highway.
Huh?
From Dishwalk to Moody
Yeah,
is
it's
across the
nothing.
highway now.
Yeah, so it's nothing. That's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
why can't we just give him a police escort?
I think we need to get him a police escort if his truck with like 3 cop cars around him like the presidential.
See, that's too much. I'm just saying, get Craig Way, hop on the
too
back,
much.
hop on the back of a police motorcycle, and then just take him over there real quick,
Yeah.
real quick, fast, and we can get Craig Way where he needs to be. I love that though. Craig Way, the voice of the Longhorns, he is one of the hardest working people I'll know in this business. But let's talk about the Texas men losing to Baylor over the weekend on the road. It was a game that if I had told you, Harge, prior to the matchup that Texas was going to have an 18-4 lead at one point, that Keontae George, the leading scorer, I don't know if he's the best player. He's definitely one of their best players. But
He's going to go highest in the draft.
Exactly. Yeah. So he's exactly lead scorer for the Baylor Bears. He's going to be a lottery pick. If I told you they in the first half would lose him for the rest of the game, and I told you Texas would force 21 turnovers against the Baylor Bears, you would probably ask me how much Texas won by.
So did they cover?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? They must have covered.
They did not, Harsh. They did not cover. As a matter of fact, they lost 81-72, and most of it due to a drought. And I don't know if it's got to be the longest drought of the year. I
It
can't
has to
remember
be, 'cause-
Texas basketball having a long. We would have complained about it. They've
For
been
sure.
one longer than 8 minutes.
No doubt about it.
An 8-minute drought by Texas led to a 16-0 run by Baylor, and that's pretty much all she wrote. They never really were able to harness and grasp the momentum after they lost it, after being up 18-4 and allowing Baylor to come all the way back. And then once Baylor came back, that was pretty much all she wrote.
Yeah, and we talked about this in the first hour where we were trying to figure out how you not in that drought, how are you not trying to get to the free throw line? Because the free throw line will slow down any rush that another team have. If you can get to the free throw line, it slows the momentum down, slows the game down, and that is the one thing that I think Texas doesn't do enough of when they're having those droughts. At one point this year, they were going through a 4-minute drought. They did that multiple times this year. And then this time an 8-minute drought, which is not what you ever want to see, especially in a game like that where you know that Baylor lost 2 games in a row, so you kind of knew that they were going to fight a little bit harder because that's something that Baylor doesn't normally do. But you also have to look at the fact, too, that if Dylan Dessou takes 15 shots in a game, that's not normally how the team is drawn up. You don't look at it that way. And so those are some of the things that I was trying to figure out is like, okay, what can they have done differently? Well, not go through that drought, get stops, and get more points off of those turnovers that they cause.
Only 16 points off 21 turnovers is a crazy number.
That's not a good look.
I don't know how that happens.
Right.
And Patrick was talking about how they basically don't run enough in those situations. They need to try to run and try to get out in transition. And once they allow the defense to set up their half-court defense, that's when Texas gets a little bogged down. But in addition to the 21 turnovers, only 16 points off of those 21 turnovers, you brought it up, Harge, the free throw shooting, the disparity was mind-blowing because Baylor actually ended up making more free throws than you shot, than you attempted.
Right.
That's one of those stats. I remember Chris Beard always saying he wanted that to be a stat that they had in their favor. But anytime that a team makes more free throws than you attempt, I think your point is more than valid that, you guys did a poor job of getting to the free throw line, initiating contact, manufacturing points, especially when you had an 8-minute drought, which means none of your offensive sets were working.
Right.
The shooting was off. Everybody was off. Then what's the easiest way to try to end this drought and get some points on the board? Get to the free throw line.
Get to the free throw line. Create some kind of action because it's not like they weren't calling fouls because Baylor went to the free throw line 29 times. And that is with their best player not being there. So they were trying to get into the paint. They were being more physical. They out-rebounded you by 10 rebounds as well. So those are the types of things that every time you look at it, you're like, what can we do differently? That's it. That's what you do differently. Change the flow of it. And then I posed this question to you guys earlier. Do you think that Marcus Carr has played so many minutes that his legs are now faltering him when at the crucial time? Because he was 3 of 10 from the field and 2 of 9 from three-point land.
Not good.
And he was short. And a couple of them, he missed badly. So I'm wondering if his legs are so tired that when he's elevating, he feels like he's got to be stronger towards the basket to where it's not in the same rhythm in which he was shooting before. And I don't know. I mean, I know that they're high tech over there. They got all the things of recovery. But no matter what, you still get tired.
Yeah, and I mean, I know that they got a day off this week as well. They played an earlier game of the week. I don't know if it's so much tired as I think this is something that Marcus Carr has had and a lot of guys on this team have, that they just get shell-shocked on the road. And at home, they're much better at coming back from it.
Yeah.
But there's some of these road games, especially against good teams, where they get shell-shocked and they just get wide-eyed. And they're trying to do things to come back, and they just don't look like the same team anymore. And there's not that instilled confidence of success in them. We have consistent success on the road. So we can go in, and we know even when we get down, we can come back and fight. They've done it against lesser teams, but we've seen them, and they just get shell-shocked. And, man, they had that drought, and it just looked like it kept getting worse and worse during that drought. And thank God they scored before half.
Right.
Because if you go in the half and you're like, oh, we haven't scored in half of a half, we basically played the second quarter of this game scoreless.
Exactly.
Which they did anyway, practically. But that's the kind of thing where you just have to go, guys, you are good enough. What do I have to tell you to make you believe that you're good enough that you can go back and play with some of that confidence that you get at home? You can't. As much as the Moody Center can make you thrive when you're at home, you need to forget about the fans when you're on the road.
Right.
And you have to be able to have those differences. And I'm not sure that this team has had enough success on the road that they have that confidence built. And you better get it quick because you have one home game left.
Right.
That's it. And then you know where else you're going? Everyone hates you. Because I'll tell you what, when you go to the Big 12 tournament, you know who every single one of those teams hates the most? Texas.
Yeah.
You know, when you go to the national tournament and the next game after you, people are still sitting there and it's two other random teams, you know who they're probably going to be rooting for? The other team than Texas. So you are going to be on the short end. Now, your fans will travel, so you'll be able to have your fan base at all these places a little bit better than the just straight-up road games. But it's still going to be a hostile crowd pretty much everywhere you're at for the rest of the season other than the Kansas game.
I mean, Texas is essentially a 500 team away from the mood.
Yes.
They have not shown the consistency.
They are 2-1 neutral games and they're 4-5 true away games.
Right.
It's 6-6
It's
away
not a
from
good
the
look.
mood. And Patrick's right. You got the Big 12 tournament. basically to get it. I don't know, to get some type of comfort level being away, the you against the world mentality, whatever it may be. Because when you hit the tournament, those are very inhospitable conditions because you're going to be playing in big arenas and stuff that you're not familiar with, and you'll be playing against the best competition in the country. And he's right. The majority of those people in that arena, although if you make it far enough, hopefully you'll be playing in the state of Texas. That'd be beautiful. But they'll be rooting against Texas. They always do. That's the beauty of being Texas.
Right.
That's what even
it's the beauty and the beast.
Yeah, exactly. CDC talks about it. He and Longhorn fans hate when he brings up the analogy, but he always says that Texas. If you want to go to Texas, you got to be Goliath.
Yep.
You're not David.
And there's
somebody's always trying to take you down.
Yeah, for
you're not
sure.
You're not sneaking up on anybody.
They're trying to slay the giant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But Texas big matchup coming up on the road. Speaking of, versus TCU. That is their next game.
What you call them, Purple Kryptonite. Another version of it.
Yeah, and TCU's playing. Now, I mean, the Big 12, these teams go through these. And how could you not? Texas actually has been one of the few teams to avoid like a rough stretch, I should say. They've had, obviously, an off game here, too. Haven't lost back-to-back games. But teams just kind of go through these lulls, and then they go through these, these different spells throughout the season. And right now, it seems like TCU's playing some decent basketball now, too, after struggling themselves.
Because they got their best player back.
Miles Boykin.
Mike Miles, what is his name?
Why did I say Boykin?
Because that was another basketball player, too. Miles, what's his last name? Matt? Is it Mac Miles? No, it's
Mike Miles.
Mike Miles.
Mike Miles.
Yeah. He's back.
He's back.
Yeah. And healthy.
Okay, Texas baseball with a big win in terms of the series win over Indiana, but they did not win the last game over Indiana. They lost that game, and Coach Pierce seemed very upset by it, Harge. Some people said he actually had a little bit of a tirade. I don't know if it's – I didn't hear it. I read the comments, so I didn't hear the comments.
Well, I got a chance to listen to a little bit of it. He wasn't he wasn't as harsh as most would say. Like, people were talking about the Augie rant and how he used explicit, words. He didn't do that. At least I don't know what happened in the locker room. We haven't seen the video yet.
I haven't seen it, so it ain't Augie style.
Right,
so,
it wasn't Augie style. But when you look at what he was saying, it's basically saying that people weren't reading the card, the numbers, or whatever it was that he was giving them. The signs basically is where it was. And I've been around the game a long time, and they're trying to do certain things so people don't steal the signs and all this other stuff. So they might have missed some signs, but it ended up costing them, obviously, because runners got thrown out. They got some caught stealings. There was some bad, like he said, communication. So moving forward, I think that they're going to be a lot better, and they just had a bad day. They had a bad day at the Dish. And to your point of what you said earlier too, Rod, he was looking at this as an opportunity to sweep this team heading into tomorrow night's matchup with LSU, who I got a chance to see this past weekend. And I'm going to try to get Ben McDonald, former LSU pitcher, broadcaster as well, former number 1 overall pick in the Major League Draft. I was working with him this past weekend. I'm going to try to get him on with us tomorrow to kind of preview the game in the matchup, because he's going to be on with Zeke and Zonk tomorrow. They're going to zoom him in, part of the telecast for LHN.
That's going
to be kind of really cool.
Telecast, actually.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool. But yeah, I mean, it happens in the game, and there have been missed signs. But if you've done it once and you see it twice, don't give them the sign anymore. Change it until you get more time with them and make sure that everybody's on the same. You get a timeout, and it also goes back to the coaches too. It goes back to the coaches being able to communicate. You got a first base coach, needs to be in the base runner's ears. Mm-hmm. You got Coach Pierce at third, needs to make sure that everybody's got the sign and there's got to be a signal to signify that you got it.
Confirmed.
Too.
Confirmation.
Confirmation
I got
sign.
It.
Yeah. Because it happens quite a bit. Yeah. And there's times where you can make it very subtle that you confirmed. And if not, wipe it off. Change it. Don't do it. There's different ways to fix it quickly. Because if there's not a confirmation, or you haven't given them the place to where they feel comfortable saying, I got it, then take it off. You
You're
can
saying
take all this
so
stuff
you
off.
just add like checks and balances to
Yeah.
some fail safes in
Yeah.
place to make sure, hey, do you got the sign? I got the sign. What's the sign?
I
That's
didn't
the sign.
coach
Okay.
I didn't coach at this level, but I coached enough games to where I'm always trying to, because guys, there's a lot that goes into it.
It is,
There's
man.
a lot.
Yep.
And if you don't have it, then show me you don't have it.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming you got it.
And that's what situational
Right.
baseball.
That's what
like
situational
football.
Yes.
A lot of it is. I'm with you. It's just focus,
Right.
alignment, assignment.
Yes.
Just kind of getting back to the details, and that's probably why he
Exactly.
blew up. That they're missing out on the basic small details. And truth be told, Coach Pierce was probably looking ahead a little bit to LSU, especially after they won 3 in a row, and
Mm-hmm.
he thought they were probably going to sweep Indiana. He's watching,
Yeah.
right? That Carbot Classic that
Yeah.
you were working, and he saw the same thing that you were warning us about in your Harsh Knock Life. Like, hey guys, we ain't buttoned up against that group.
Yeah.
We will get embarrassed.
Correct.
At home,
Correct. At home.
embarrassed.
After you swept LSU last year.
So,
You know what I'm saying?
they want to
Yes.
embarrass you.
Yeah.
Getting back to Patrick's part about Texas basketball, I'm going on the road. No, you're hated nationally. That's good.
Yeah.
All right. But just so you know, LSU they're the best
They
team
looking
in
for
the country,
y'all right now.
and they want to embarrass
Yeah,
Texas.
no
and
doubt.
I think Coach Pierce knows that. He doesn't want
No
this team
doubt.
to go into that matchup without a crystallized extreme focus. Because we may not be good enough to beat LSU, but we
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
can't get embarrassed
No.
at the dish.
No, not at all.
That is that. It cannot happen.
Yeah.
All right, so I think that's probably why he went off a little bit, because he's looking at LSU and going, "We play like that against LSU?
Nope.
They gonna put up.
They gonna
put
coming.
up 15 on us."
They coming, and they remember what happened last year when you were at the Minute Maid Classic down there, the Shiners Hospital College Classic, where you beat them 6-1. They had 25,000 fans in the stands,
Don't forget.
and they stayed in town because they just drove down
right on
south.
down.
They right here.
They here.
They here.
They here. They've been hanging out at Mud Bugs. Looking for all the Cajun food spots in the city. They've been
Exactly.
hanging out Show
Show
Creek
Creek,
Saloon, kicking it there. Like, what
Yeah.
are those people doing out
Yeah.
here? Oh, they ready. They are ready. So yeah, looking forward to that matchup tomorrow with LSU. And you did a little breakdown. If you didn't hear the Harsh Knock Life, I would encourage you to go check it out. It was really good. Just a break, and that's really good and scary.
Yeah,
but really
yeah.
good. Just talking about how good this LSU squad is. Give me the 3 things right now, at the top of your head, Texas got to do to pull the upset over LSU.
You can't turn. I was going to say turn the ball over,
But
and
you
that's
can't beat
basically
yourself.
you can beat yourself.
Can't beat yourself.
Don't make errors.
Yeah.
Make sure you don't miss signs, and make sure you keep the ball in play. Put the ball in play and make them make plays as well.
So they'll have to make mistakes.
They-
'Cause they force them to make some mistakes.
Exactly. They compound your mistakes though, and that's the thing, because throughout that lineup 1 through 9, there's thumpers in there.
There's no let up. There's
everything
no
is high
letdown.
leverage. Everything
Yeah.
is high leverage.
Yeah, there's no letdown on that line.
And you're already going to be playing kind of fired up anyway. This is the number 1 team in the nation.
Come on now.
That's why Iowa's season was made this past Saturday when they beat them, but they had a pitcher that was throwing 100 miles an hour.
This is the kid that plays wide receiver.
This the
too?
kid that plays wide receiver.
Dude's a beast.
He was throwing 100 miles an hour. Very first pitch was 100. His second pitch was 101. His last pitch that he threw in the game before he got relieved of his duties was 98 miles an hour. Like, dude is nasty.
That's
And he
silly,
had a
man. That's
6
silly.
slider. They were talking about it on the telecast, the changeup. They were like, oh, he let up a little bit. It was 90. You know,
He
like,
let up a
yeah,
little
he let
bit.
up a little bit. It was 90.
Man, that
so,
dude is a freakish
yeah, he is
athlete. You say he's a
definitely that.
sophomore too, right?
Well, yes.
He's a sophomore last year?
Draft eligible next year.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
All
why
right.
there was a lot of scouts in it, and they wanted to see the matchup.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
him
saying?
going against the big, and,
Yeah.
and
he
showed up.
he showed up.
I think he made himself some
Yeah,
money. He'll be
he
in
did.
somebody's league.
He will.
No doubt about that.
No doubt.
All right, the Texas basketball team will be playing up against TCU later on this week. Texas baseball, they play against LSU tomorrow. As a matter of fact, you'll be able to hear that live right here on 104.9 The Horn. We'll be off a little bit early, but give you up to Texas baseball tomorrow. All right, we come back. Austin FC, disappointing loss to an expansion franchise at home. The home opener for the 2023 season. We'll talk about it on the other side right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a Smooth Soul Monday. That's my man Patrick DJing Smooth Soul Monday, playing jams to soothe the tortured soul of sports fans whose team have taken an L over the weekend. That indeed was Austin FC. They took an L. This was an ugly L, too. Not ugly in the – well, they were up 2-1, actually, at one point. They ended up losing 3-2. But it's ugly because St. Louis – if you look at St. Louis City FC, they have the lowest odds of winning the championship this year. So, yeah, MLS, or at least the Vegas Wise Guys, they believe out of all the MLS teams that the St. Louis City FC will be the worst of all of the MLS teams. And maybe they won't be because they looked, better than people thought versus Austin FC. But to beat Austin FC in their home opener in Austin, when last year they had lost 3 games total out of 19 at home last season, one of the best home teams in all of MLS, went to the Western Conference Finals last year, so they had a remarkable season. It's just
paid all their players, been doing the thing.
Yeah, great point. Yeah, and it was just a smart move by them to pay all those guys after that great season.
Play well too.
Driussi is just
Fagundez. They played
he's
good.
in MVP conversation. Those guys played well, but yeah, it's disappointing. Nobody, the season isn't over after losing, the first match of the season, but it's disappointing to start that way. And honestly, Hart, it was lost when Julio Cascante went down.
Yeah.
When Cascante went down, that was it.
Yeah, and the other part of it too is you start looking at some of the numbers, and I got a chance to watch the entire game, and they possessed the ball 60% of the time, but they had opportunities to score, and they missed them. And that's the other part of this too. But when you look at St. Louis, this made me feel a lot like when the Houston Texans beat the Dallas Cowboys in their inaugural season. All the hype, it's opening night, you're ready to go, it's that time, and here we go. Soccer's back, another sold-out house, and they score early, number one. And then they score late by your guy passing them the ball. It was unbelievable when you watched it. It was like it was a straight pass to him as if they were at practice.
And ironically, that was Jared Stroud.
Yes.
Who used to play for Austin
That's
FC.
why I was thinking. I was like, did y'all think y'all were just back at it?
Yeah. And ironically, another Shakespearean irony of the matchup, Kip Keller, who had a terrible game because he had to come in and sub for Cascante when Cascante went down.
Exactly.
And I'm not sure if they said what it was. And it was a lower leg. I'm not sure if it was a knee or groin. I'm not sure exactly what it was. But Cascante went down, did not return. Kip Keller, who was basically playing on the pitch for his 7th career MLS game.
Right.
And that 105 fewer games than Cascante. You're talking about a seasoned veteran. Mm-hmm. And Kip Keller, in just his 2nd year as a player, 22 years old, having to be thrown right in the mix there. You would have liked him to perform a little bit better, but he was overwhelmed. It seemed like because from the jump, he had a disastrous game. He allowed a goal in the 24th minute. Was not allowed to go. Basically, he was one-on-one with Tim Parker, and he allowed Tim Parker to get around him. And he attempted that no-look pass that you were talking about. In the 75th minute, Jared Stroud intercepts it and then is able to get it past Stuver to make it 2-2. And then in the 86th minute, Keller was one-on-one with Klaus on a breakaway, and he just couldn't keep up. And Klaus goes in and gets it past Stuver.
He even tried to
goal.
foul him. and he just couldn't grab him. So it was a tough look, man. And the energy that was in the stadium. I didn't get a chance to go. My son was working.
I know. I wanted to go too.
Yeah. I was working. I made it home in time to watch the game, but I would have never made it over to Q2. But, it's a learning experience. It happens. It's what it is. And that's the beautiful thing about the soccer match is that you play a lot of games. You're going to get a lot of opportunities. You're going to get adjustments. But the thing is, late in the season, you're going to look back, and if you're in a position where these points are going to matter, that might be the game that you look at because this is a team that should not have even been able to play with you. I know we remember how they looked in their expansion year.
Yes.
They had some problems.
It was tough sledding there. We lost interest pretty early on in
the
first year for Austin FC, but I would say they battled back in year 2 and had one of the best seasons in all of MLS, and I think we were all hooked on it by then. So I guess going forward now, the question is, how long is Cascante going to be out?
Yeah, that's the biggest question.
How much can Kip Keller improve in the time that Cascante is out? Because I believe that Kip Keller is the only central defender that was on the bench for them. Now, I don't know how the rules work, if there can be acquisitions. And, someone says Kip Keller grew up in St. Louis, obviously. Yeah, no. So maybe he was distracted. Maybe he was nervous.
22 years old.
He's 22. Maybe he was nervous.
22 years old.
Yeah,
playing on the big stage.
Yeah, so it could be that. That's a good point. Maybe he was nervous playing up against, the hometown team, that kind of thing. But either way, those are the two biggest questions. How much can Kip Keller improve, and how much, time does he have to improve, and how long is Cascante going to be out?
Well, tonight Soccer Matters comes on after us.
Hey.
So our man Glenn Davis
That's
might
right.
be able to give us some information and some insight on what he's hearing about Cascante's injury and how long he's going to be out.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Thank you for bringing that up, Harge. That's why you are the man. Also, we were looking for Kip Keller did not speak to the media afterwards either, so I believe that Coach Wolf is trying to protect the young guy.
Absolutely.
They know he's a bit fragile. All the players afterwards, after the match, had nothing but complimentary things to say about how they were going to rally around him and how they know that he has a ton of talent and he'll get past this. And I believe he will. I just think he was ill prepared to go out there mentally.
Right.
And we've seen it.
He probably was thinking, I'm not getting in the game today.
We've seen that in all sports where,
Yep.
that guy was not prepared to go out there. And then you give him a week, or not week, but you give him, a couple of days or whatever it takes for them to prepare and for them to really embrace the fact that they're going to be in that starting role and get acclimated to it. And he won't perform that badly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not gonna say he's gonna go out there and be a strength for the team, but I think he was a liability. He was an active liability for them in that match.
His plus minus was not good.
They were picking on Kip Keller.
Exactly.
I don't think it'll be that bad in the next match, but that's the big concern is Cascante's injury going forward for them. So
yeah.
I think Austin FC is going to have a great year, and we're going to try to get out to an Austin FC match.
We definitely are going to try to get out there.
Maybe we do like a field trip or something for the group, because I know my wife's trying to get out there. She wanted to go to this match, and we were going to go, and then basically she had a miscommunication with the person about it, and then we didn't end up getting the tickets.
Yeah, I'm a jinx, though, so I can't.
Yeah, you can't go. You cannot go.
You said last time you went, they lost.
Last time they lost.
They only lost 3 home games, too.
Yeah, and I was at one of them, so.
Yeah, that's a good point. If you were at one of those losses and you were at this loss, you might need to reconsider your fandom.
Yeah.
You might need to watch the games
from
at
afar.
home. Yeah, they got Apple. Listen, I got Apple Plus because I actually subscribe to it, so I have Apple TV. I'm not sure if I have the MLS package. I do know, and Patrick was talking about it too, some of the games are free with having Apple TV, and I do have that. So, I don't know. I'll let you guys know exactly what the situation is, because I know a lot of people were asking about it.
I will tell people, if you have T-Mobile, they are giving it away for free as well.
I heard that
because
too.
I have it. As much as I don't watch a ton of MLS.
They just gave it to you.
Yeah.
For the year.
Yes.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
So if you have that, you might want to look into that to get a free package so you can watch all of the MLS games.
I like that.
There you go.
Texter says they can call Romania from loan. They can recall Romania from loan, who is currently playing in France. Okay.
That works.
There you go.
There it is.
Thanks, Texters. Nice little nugget there. All right, so we'll be talking more soccer. Hopefully, we're talking about a win.
We
for
need a
Austin
victory.
FC.
And don't
We do need a
forget,
victory.
Glenn Davis follows our show here coming up in just a little bit.
Damn right.
And he will give you some updates and give his thoughts on what he saw watching the Austin FC as well.
Yeah, Glenn Davis always does a great job for us. Soccer Matters. All right, we come back. We'll let you know what matters. We'll tell you what's on tap, and also we'll let you know what the other topics are that are coming up for us tomorrow, because I got a couple that I'm going to bring up. One I just shared with my man Harge in the break that we have to discuss tomorrow. We'll talk about that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Getting ready to wrap it up and put it in the oven. If you missed any part of any of the shows, please go to hornfm.com and you can catch up with them on the podcast page. How about this texter? My wife and I both play in the La Murga, the crazy band, in the supporter section at Q2. If y'all want to take in the game in that environment, the Murga, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. We'll get you tickets anytime, no sitting, and beer showers several times each match. Wow, beer showers.
I don't know how I feel about the beer showers. I had it once.
You sat in this section.
I sat in that section before.
Disrespectful to beer.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm not throwing the beer, but I do. Thank you for the invitation, though.
No doubt.
We appreciate
Thank you
that.
for that.
Very kind.
We'll come by there and say hi.
I definitely will come by the section. I know that section.
I do too.
I'm bringing a towel.
I would have my mouth open ready for the beer.
Yeah,
It'll
get
be
ready
being
for
thrown
that
into the
turn up.
air. That's cool with me. So thank you for the invitation. We appreciate that. Thank you for all your participation on the Specs text line. What's on tap for you tonight, Harch?
I'm going to go check out Ohio State. I'm going to be in Frisco this weekend, so I got to get prepared for a conference call tomorrow. So I'm going to look at Ohio State baseball because they're going to be in Frisco this weekend.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. Man, you're doing a lot of baseball
It's
work.
that time.
It is
that
that time.
It's that time. It's getting it out of the way because the tournaments happen at the very beginning of the year, and
Yeah.
then we're done. Like Texas end up going to the Shriner Classic, like I was talking about before. They're going to be in Houston this weekend,
Okay.
and I'm going the opposite direction.
Well, it's
this
good
weekend.
because you see all these teams at the beginning of the year, and then when we get to the
Yeah.
postseason,
I know
you've
a
seen
little
a
bit
lot of
about
these
them.
teams
That's right.
already. You've already seen LSU out, so you've seen some good teams already. So glad my man Harge is working, doing the scouting for
That's
us,
right.
so we ain't got to do it. Patrick, what's on tap for you, brother?
Instant Serious tonight at 8 right here on the
Nice.
Horn. We're talking a lot of NBA. Probably go into a little bit about what the Lakers are going to have to do now that LeBron James is going
right.
to be out for an extended period of time.
That's right.
Wow. Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
He may not be playing with his son. I promise you that.
Well,
All
not-
these injuries.
Yeah, that's
You
a
know,
good
he's
one.
getting hurt a
He's gonna
lot.
play with his son. If he's got to go out there on crutches and with a cane, LeBron's gonna play with Bronny. But yeah, Patrick just mentioned one of the things that we will talk about tomorrow is the LeBron James injury. That right foot. Remember he played through it.
Yep.
He
Played through it.
went down and said, "I heard something snap or pop or whatever." Everybody thought it was worst case scenario. He played through it and they ended up winning the game, beating the Mavs, coming down from 27 points. But as Patrick mentioned, Shams Charania, he is reporting from The Athletic that LeBron James with a right foot injury expected to be out
Yep.
for an extended period of time. That means any extended period of time means they're not going to make the playoffs.
Extended period of time also means we are going to rest this for a little while and then reevaluate,
Yes.
which you're
Yes.
basically saying, like, we don't even know. It could be the rest of the season.
Yeah.
It could be, well, we're not, for like a week and a half, we're not even going to test it.
Yeah,
So it's going
'cause
to be
he's
like
gonna
a week and a half
chilling.
before
Yeah.
we even do anything, 2 weeks for you. So that's usually what an extended period of time means.
Sure.
So they're going to be in it. We got, Trey, the Atlanta Hawks just hired Quinn Snyder. We could talk about how crazy that's going to be
Yep.
on the show tonight. Because
Quinn Snyder's been chilling here the whole time.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
Hey, man, if you coach in Missouri and you coach in Utah and you coach in Austin, where are you going to keep your house?
Yeah. You
Austin.
keeping it here.
I was like,
That's
Austin.
right.
That's pretty obvious.
Unless you finna move to the ATL, baby.
So we'll get into that. Also, Deion Sanders had made some very, I guess, controversial comments. He was stating what he liked, the traits he liked in his quarterback,
Yeah.
and what he looks for in a quarterback. Got him in a little hot water. So we'll play those comments and
It's
talk about that
ironic
tomorrow
because
too.
it wasn't even in his own home.
Yeah, right.
Think
You're
about
right.
that.
Good
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
Good point. So good point. We'll get into that too coming up tomorrow a little bit. And of course, more talk about the NFL combine. As a matter of fact, I might tell my combine
Yes.
story. I'll get into my combine experience a little bit. All right, I want to thank all you guys. Thank my man Hards. Thank my man Patrick as well. And thank all you guys for listening. Remember, the revolution will not be televised. We'll be talking about it right here on Ball Don't Lie. We love you guys. We mean that. Take care of yourselves, but more importantly, take care of each other. Soccer Matters coming up next with Glenn Davis. Peace.